10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, Wrestle Talk Podcast. Boy, Wrestle Talk family, it is so great to have you guys here tonight. So great to be with you. And we got another great episode for you tonight. Episode number 524. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I do have to apologize. Unfortunately, Jeannie, who also is known by Hollywood, we had made the announcement she would be our guest for the night. And, she was supposed to be. Unfortunately, she had a scheduling snafu. And so she has rescheduled for next month. I do greatly apologize for that. But like I say, never fear. She will be coming. Can't wait to talk with her. She was the original Glow Girl, and it's just going to be an absolute great interview when we get to talk to her. But that's okay, because tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we do have somebody that we're going to sit down and chat with. He is the one and only Ace, and he is joining the Wrestle Talk Podcast family and the Wrestle Talk Podcast team. So, it'll be great to sit down, chat with him, and actually, give you guys some of his background and where he comes from, just so you guys can learn a little more about Ace before you actually see him, in the hosting capacity with us. So that will be an absolute great time. But, as always, ladies and gentlemen, I am not here by myself. Not at all. So let me get the man in here. My co-host for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, he is the young lion with the old soul, Gabriel Larson, ladies and gentlemen.
Wrestle Talk Podcast family, I just got to take a moment to apologize. Yours truly is currently held up at work. So I'm away on a business trip. I'm in Ocala right now. So just a shout out to my disgusting, messy hotel room. And there's a painting of some people on horses back there. I just thought you guys should know that. But Hardcore Homes, good to see you, man.
Hey, great to be back here with you again, Gabe. Always a great time when we get together, and shout out to Sheila. She's out there in the crowd tonight. Shout out to David Owen. Great to see you guys out there. Be sure you guys post, like, comment, share. We love the interaction. And by sharing the program with others, they get to see the great content we put on here. And it'll help us out a little bit there as well. But Dave,
I want to say I'm kind of glad our original guest wasn't able to make it, because it's a very unprofessional setting that I find myself in here tonight. So it worked out perfectly. Not saying I don't love Ace to, zhuzh up the room a bit, but It's not exactly putting your best foot forward when you have an original glow girl on your show and you're in a hotel room.
Yeah, it is what it is. But, like I say, she will be coming on with us next month. And I look forwards to it. I know you're looking forwards to it. In the
I had
past
so
several
many
days.
questions prepared. We'll just ask them to Ace. It's fine.
Well, it might be interesting asking Ace about being a Playboy model. That might be interesting. But
You and I both know he has funny answers for that kind of stuff. All right.
but yeah, so it's just gonna be an absolute great time. Shout out to Susie checking in. You know, it's always a good time when we get together, and always a good time when we get to talk with the Wrestle Talk family. You know, and just so much to talk about, so much going on in the world of professional wrestling. But absolutely, before we get into that, though, we got housekeeping items that we have got to take care of as we do each and every episode because, well, we just do. But, so as always, we want to start out by honoring our great country. You know, Not going to get political here. Don't want to start a comment storm or anything else. But there has been a lot that has happened throughout throughout the past several days in our great country. And we've also had the anniversary of 9/11, and so there is just so much that happens in our country. But at the same time, we love our country. We like to honor our country, but we also like to be lighthearted here, and we just we like to try to entertain. So with that being said, please remove your hats, place your hands over your hearts for the playing of the national anthem. Brings the tear to your eye or blood to your ears every time. One or the other, but it is what it is.
I didn't realize my mic was muted there. I'm sorry. I was saying I just know that Jeremy Carp is seasoned up somewhere. That's all.
Very, very true. But if you don't love this country, well, then shame on you. But it is what it is. So, with that being said, we obviously could not do this without our great and wonderful sponsors. So we do have to thank each and every one of them because without them, we would not be able to do this for you. So, as always, we want to thank our great sponsors. We have Retro Zone at the O Park Mall. We have Painter's Dream Productions. Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame just inducted Luke Skywalker Roberts, and he's a member of the board. We have Doomed Outfitters, which actually is our newest team member as well, Ace. They're running Doomed Outfitters, and we want to thank him for stepping up, thank him for doing everything that he does. We have the World Domination Wrestling Alliance, the best wrestling in the West Virginia Panhandle. Be sure to go check them out. And Also, every other Tuesday night, you'll see myself and Gavin Jackson with Elevation right here on Wrestle Talk Podcast channel. So be sure to check us out with that, as well as the world's premier fantasy wrestling group, the FWWC. That's right.
Yeah.
So check out our sponsors. Go give them a like. Go give them a follow.
From Wrestle Talk Podcast sent you.
Exactly. And they're not going to give you anything off. They're not going to give you any benefits out of it, but you get a pat on the back and a thank you. And hey, that makes it all the better, right?
Funnily enough, I have something that fits perfect for that. Here's what you get, guys. Let's see if we can get that up on frame there. It says
it's not good for anything. Yeah, but it's free. Yeah,
free.
That's right.
There you go.
Right.
These are the best.
Most of our sponsors, though, in all honesty, if you tell them you heard about them from the Wrestle Talk podcast, not that they don't treat you good otherwise, but they treat you even that much better when they find out that you came from us, So we appreciate each and every one of those sponsors, though, just as we appreciate each and every one of you fans. We also have a fan sponsorship. So, if you want to know more about that right now, I believe Susie Haas is the only fan sponsor we've got. Hit us up. Let us know. We'd be more than happy to chat with you about it and get you set up for a fan sponsorship, as well as you can send us stars if you're watching on Facebook, ladies and gentlemen. So be sure to send us some stars. They don't cost very much and we get a little bit out of it. So, and it helps us bring you the great content that we do and keeps us on the air and keeps us going. So we absolutely thank you. And Gabe, Susie wants you to send her one of those cards.
I have a couple. I gotta get that address then. Just gotta send them off. Yeah, no, sorry, I'll try to get this quick so we can jump into high spots and we can knock this out. So for my line of work, I'm a sales rep, and what I do is that to get people to my table, I say we're handing out some free promotional items, and then I do the demo and I show everybody how the product works. And I got these from a customer, but what's funny is the fact that in my mind, I get lots of customers when I do my presentation that come up and say, oh, is this all we get? This is the free thing, and I'm so tempted to hand them that ticket and say like, no, here's your free item, and then that's it. But I'm worried they're gonna maul me or something or just report me to the people up the front. So I dare have not yet done it, but Lord tempt me that I'd like to.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, had a bit of a technical difficulty there. But but yeah, those are absolutely cute cards. I like those. But and we were talking before the show, so some of you may have noticed, I've got a new background here behind me, and
did they notice, Haas, or were you looking for an excuse to talk about it?
Well, I'm just throwing it out there because, I do have to thank Susie Haas for this great background behind me.
Here, go center stage real quick. Let everybody get a good look at that. Because that's some solid work right there. Look at that. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, all those nice posters behind me of our great sponsors and our great wrestling promotions, SICW back there, WWE, WDWA's on there, we got the Doomed Outfitters, I-70 Sports Media, so many different great sponsors and great promotions, so just a shout out to Susie Haas for making this background for me. And, AJ happened to notice the SICW on the left. So, it's great to have a nice background like that. So thank you to Susie for hooking me up with that. And keep your eyes out. You might see some more backgrounds coming, because you never know who might decide they want one, and either might make up one themselves, or Susie might make one for them too. But Gabe, there's so much to talk about. Let's get into high spots, and I'm sure we'll have a couple people joining us during our high spots. So let's go ahead and jump into that high spots session. Boy, I'm getting tongue twisted already tonight. So let's go ahead and take it away, DJ Money.
Mic check. Yeah. All right. Wrestle Talk Podcast. DJ Money. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to High Spots, where we pop news like flare chops. We talk shop, coming through the screens of a laptop, and non-stop like I'm running speakers of blacktop. We hit hard like chair shots and backdrops, like a clock flash, look like a barely fly. Now that's hard. We up to speed while they stay slow. Wrestle Talk Podcast, now they know we about to start the show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That beat hitting hard from the one and only DJ Money. Thank you very much for that. And, and thank you for the birthday wishes, Susie. Yes, my birthday was yesterday. For some of you may have seen it online.
Hey, dude, we could have had a birthday song on here. Are you kidding me? Why are you letting us know now? Why am I the last to know?
Yeah. I know on some of them we do have a little birthday thing on there, but that's beside the point. That was just something fun that I did one time. But yeah, but it is time we get into some of those high spots, Gabe. What do you think?
I'm definitely excited, only because I didn't get a chance to peep all of them. This was probably one of the few that I had my hands off the least, so don't worry, folks. You don't got to worry. No New Japan or MLW questions up in the mix. Just WWE for all you casuals. Yeah. No, but I'm excited. A lot has happened, and I think we got a lot to talk about, at least in terms of. I know there's a couple juicy nuggets in there, so I'm really getting ready to sink my teeth into some of these topics.
So let's go ahead and let's see what that randomizer has for us tonight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is it gonna give us? Oh, yes. we got two belts, Dom.
It's double champ Dom, bro. Alliteration.
Let's see, though. What is the question, though, when it comes to Dom? Okay. Okay, is it gonna come up?
Are you able to read it off the actual thing?
There we go.
There we go. Sorry about that.
All right. Is Dominic now the best Mysterio, and how long before he surpasses Ray's legacy? Wow, that's an interesting one. Gabe, you wanna start firing us off on that one there?
Do I have to? No. Just because I feel like a lot of people are going to be mad about what I have to say. And that is the fact that at this moment in time, there is a strong argument to be made that Dom very well might be the best Mysterio going forward. However, I don't know that he's crossed that threshold just yet. And it's only because this accomplishment looks good on paper, because he's won the belt. And it's easy to do that when the wind is to your back, right? But now that he has it, we all know this. Wrestling is cyclical. It's easy to win the belt. It's holding the belt. That's the hard part. And we wonder how much people are going to stick with Dirty Dom as mega champion going forward, especially when it comes to the crowds in Mexico, because I know they can be very fickle when it comes to the people they like. I mean, they liked Vikingo, and then they just pivoted. They did not like this guy anymore. Now, how long before he surpasses Rey's legacy? I don't think long at all. And I don't mean to disrespect Rey. I don't mean this in any way, shape, or form to try and discredit his career, what he's done with it. The fact that this man is still putting in work now, despite being a Hall of Famer. But when I think about the fact that, can we just take a moment, pause, and think about that this is the same Dominic Mysterio that we saw tagging with his dad however many years ago. If I would have told you that that man, after he won the SmackDown tag titles with his dad, was going to be sitting here as a double champion holding a AAA championship and the Intercontinental Championship, you would have stopped me and said, Gabe, what are you smoking? Can I have some? Because it's insane. And the only thing I think needs to happen realistically is if Dom either wins Money in the Bank or, and some of you are going to be very mad at me when it comes to this, if he's the one to break Gunther's record for the Intercontinental Championship. If that happens, I have no qualm saying that's what solidifies him as being the better Mysterio. But that's just me.
Wow, that is a tough take there, Gabe. And honestly, has he become the better Mysterio? Wow. He hasn't had the longevity of career that Rey has had, but he's had the success. Now, originally, if you had asked me back, when he first turned Dirty Dom, and originally I would have told you he's riding Rey's coattails. He is not going anywhere, and I would have been wrong, and I admit that 100%. But he really has proven himself, I feel, and he is doing one heck of a job. Is he the better Mysterio? At this point, I would say, yeah, but that's more so because right now he's more exciting to watch than Rey. But how much of that has to do with Rey's age? And
overall, like not just in this moment, because it's a little unfair to get somebody who's at the back half of their career with somebody who's just starting to hit their peak.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I would still say at this point, yes, Dom is probably the better of the two. But, there again, I would have been wrong before when I would have said that he was riding Rey's coattails. That doesn't mean I can't be wrong now. It's hard to say. And Susie happens to agree with you tonight there, and you see in the comments she says, I hate to say this, but Gabe is right.
Why do you have to hate to say it? It's so right. You don't have to hate it, right?
And then also shout out to Jimmy Harris, there in the comments. Always great to see you checking in, sir. And but yeah, so honestly at this point I have to go with Dom being the better of the two. I mean, he really has taken off ever since he did the Dirty Dom and separated from his dad. He's taken off. So I have to say he's the better. But you know what? There's somebody else that I want to get their take on this, because
really?
I know this man's going to have.
No, he's going to have a thing to say about it. That's for sure.
So let's go ahead and get him in here and see what he has got to say. And, I'm sure he's going to want to talk a little FWWC as well, because there's some stuff coming up with that. So let's get him in here. He is the one and only, the CEO, Dewan Mills.
What up? What up? What up? I always ask the
What's
same
going
question.
on?
Can you see me?
We can see you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Good.
Loud and clear, Chief.
Then you need to hear this. Dom ain't
Oh.
damn near close. Dom ain't close to the hell, the fudge. I hope you can hear that. What kind
Oh.
of? Yeah, I do want some of what you smoking.
Okay. No, this is content. This is
Send that to
content.
Kansas City, because that must be some good shit.
The floor is yours, sir. I need to hear your piece on this about why you think me and Haas are wrong. Because I'm on my easy chair right now, bro. What you got?
Okay, it's not that you're wrong. Okay, and I will say this. When I look at professional wrestling, I don't give a damn, if it's Dominic. I don't give a damn if it's Logan. I don't give a damn who it is. It's about work ethic. So I will give this much to Dom. Dom has amazing work ethic in that ring. Okay, I have to give him that. Not gonna take that away from him. Charisma, I give that to him too. As a heel, as a character, what he's trying to push forward is working. Okay. Am I surprised that they put the Mega Championship on him? I am, but I'm not. But I will ask this question. If there was no partnership with WWE and AAA, would he be champion?
No, but
there you
own the
answer
company.
that. Now answer that. If there was no legitimate partnership, if WWE didn't outright own, or whatever the hell they want to word it and call it, AAA, would Dom be the champion?
No, but he would still be Intercontinental Champion.
Okay, so there you go. I mean, it's nothing against what he's doing. And again, I love what he's doing. But to say that he's even remotely close to his dad's legacy, the man's still got a way to go. Okay? But he's on the right track. I will say that much. He is on the very right track. I'll give that much.
The thing is, I'm with you in the fact that I don't think he's surpassed his dad yet, but I think he's a lot closer than you're giving him credit for. Only in the fact that because here's my biggest argument, right? Dom, when I talk about character work, all right, we can buy Dom as a white meat babyface and we can buy him as a heel. When was the last time you legitimately considered Rey Mysterio a heel or was known for his character work? No offense, I love Rey to death, but when was the last time you actually got the character out of Rey Mysterio outside of the luchador mask?
Rey as a heel?
And yes, honest. I know about WCW, so don't try to bring this up like I was
I'm gonna pull one out my ass on this one. On WWE on Raw versus SmackDown 2008. whatever edition it was. It was weird as hell when you had to play Rey as a heel. It was just like, what the hell am I? I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Why is Rey a bad guy now? This makes no sense. I'm confused. So right. Yeah, you make a point.
So, and then the only other argument I have to stand for, which is yes, okay, AAA is currently owned by WWE. Would the likelihood of Dom winning that belt have happened if they didn't? Probably not. However, they have been sticking other titles on their guys prior to that because Omos has won a title in Pro Wrestling Noah. And I believe when Gunther back in the day was UK champion, he won an indie fed title out in Europe. I forget which one it was specifically, but he was doing his thing. So I think the likelihood of him becoming a triple mega campeon would have happened. Maybe not as soon as it did, but it would have happened. And the last thing, that is a belt that Rey Mysterio has never won.
And
yeah,
if you want to look at our whole argument of would he have won that championship if it wasn't for the partnership? If you want to look at that, would Trick Williams have held TNA and his at the same time? Would you have the TNA Women's Champion holding a WWE championship at the same time. You know, if it wasn't for those, would those have happened? So partnerships are partnerships, man, you know, and it just helps propel things.
Touche. I'll give you that. You know, I'll give you that. I mean, Trick is a different, animal though. If I'm being honest.
that is a whole other discussion we can have, sir. Because I fuck with Trick Williams so hard you would not believe it. Did you see that entrance? I'm sorry to sidetrack this. Did you see that entrance with the acapella group singing "Woke That Trick" and they just kept piling on and on and on, and they were singing in rows? If you didn't see it, you need to see the CEO. It's the greatest shit ever. But
yep, it's a great show.
But okay, so you think? Let me ask you, just so we can tie it back into the question: what exactly does Dom have to do to at least catch up in his father's legacy? You would say, from this point, I guess.
What does he have to do? Man, that's tough. I don't know. Become world champion. That's got to be the next goal. But
that counts, bro. That is the world championship.
I mean, we got that, but we're talking about,
No, we know what you mean. A WWE world championship.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. This kind
I'm splitting hairs.
I ain't gonna say it's kind of a given, but they're pushing the King of Luchadors gimmick, which makes sense. I love it, 110%. But I mean, I don't know. This whole thing with him and El Grande Americano, which I don't understand that crap, and I can't. And then, but I will say this: the cool thing about that, not to get off track, they did the Spider-Man meme. All three of them did yesterday.
The point of the meme, that's it.
They did it.
But irregardless whether you understand it or not, here's the main question: Are you entertained?
Absolutely.
That's all that matters.
That's all that
matters is that you are entertained. It doesn't matter if you understand it. As a wrestling fan, you're not supposed to understand it. You're just supposed to be entertained. Simple as that.
Right.
But real quick, before we get into FWWC, there's another man backstage who wants to get his opinion in on this. So I'm going to bring him in real quick, get his opinion. So let's bring him in here. He is going to be our guest here in a little bit to talk to. But let's get the man Ace in here from Doomed Outfitters, because he is just itching to get his 2 cents in on this one.
All right, I'm fixing to go ahead and just blow this question out of the water. Y'all are absolutely damn delusional. Look, man, I gotta agree with the one on this one right here. And I'm not saying that Dom would not be the most popular Mysterio heading forward, but there's a huge difference between popularity and actual legacy. Okay, how many luchadors are actually really going to be inspired by Dom? Look at how many, including Dom, has been inspired by Rey Mysterio. That man set a trend that will never be touched. So I do believe that Dom will eventually win more championships. I believe that he'll probably sell more merchandise, because I mean, let's face it, the man's hot. As far as him heading forward, he might sell more numbers, he might win more titles. He will never surpass Rey Mysterio. I don't believe in his legacy. I don't believe as far as him as a luchador or anything else. Rey Mysterio set that standard. He is what you call the top luchador all over the world. And like I said, you got to separate popularity from legacy. Dom will never touch that.
I have heard your argument, sir, and I categorically disagree. But I can tell you are hotter than a $2 pistol waiting in the back there. You see how red this man is? He was ready to fire that one.
You see how red Hoss gets every time I come on and he mentions my name? I think he's blushing a little bit. That's embarrassing for you, man.
Why would I blush? You're the one that can't beat me, so heck.
Ooh, gentlemen. All right, take it to your corners, please. All right, so let's run this back a little bit.
I'm in the corner up here. He's in the corner down there. See, he's below me as he should be, but that's beside the point too. So.
All right, hold on. Where can I find this yellow card, bro? Flag on the play. All right, that was flag on the play, sir. All right, so let's run this back.
Get that off, man. You got to get it off.
Now, of course,
right.
Gentlemen, we did bring you in for a reason, not just to sit here and chat. about pro wrestling. Mr. CEO, you have come here to talk business, specifically FWWC business. And I'm sure Ace, just as much as me and Hardcore Hoss, are interested to know what exactly is going on going forward into our next pay-per-view for the FWWC. So if you would care to take the stage and let us know what your announcement is, I'm sure everybody in the audience is waiting and curious what you got in store.
Absolutely. So before I get into this weekend's pay-per-view, I do want to address something, Gabe, since I got you on the line. As it relates to the Warriors Heart Championship, I know a couple weeks ago we had a match, determined number one contender, implications, things of that nature. I will say this much. There will be a future match involving one Gabriel Arsene and one of the guys who honestly annoys me at this point in time, but he's here, Nathaniel Jones. Okay? You two individuals are in the Warriors Heart Championship conversation as it stands right now. Now, when will that title match be? Is there a title match? What's going on? I don't know. I can't say quite yet. But you both know you have to be ready for what's going to happen. Okay, Gabriel and Nathaniel Jones, if you can hear me, congratulations. You gentlemen are officially in the official FWWC Warriors Heart Championship title picture. Great for you guys. Does that mean the match is going to be next Monday? Hell no. Does that mean the match is going to be next month? Hell no. Just get ready for a future match and be prepared. That's what I got for that. A lot of people ask me that question. Now, let's talk about this weekend. Let's bring that graphic up. FWWC Ultra Clash. It is going down this weekend. An amazing, exciting card. And I am personally excited to see it because I know these matches, as always, that we have here in the FWWC are going to be fire. So, Hoss, let's have a conversation about you, sir. Because, man, last night, dog, I got to be honest with you, Hoss. I'm going to keep it real with you. What you did to them boys last night was shocking as hell because last night we had the official contract signings for the Hardcore Championship #1 contender match and the Heavyweight Championship match. But last night, Hardcore Hoss, after blood was shed and after the contract was signed in blood, you smashed them boys' heads together. Like real, like the shit was crazy. So this Saturday at FWWC Ultra Clash, it will be Rage versus the Ruler, Savior Saint, in a #1 contendership match for the Hardcore Championship. But Hoss, you are also the special enforcer. But man, you kind of roughed him up in the beginning, dude. What the hell?
I just had to show them, how it is that I am going to enforce things and, they're going to have to answer. And so, just making sure that there was no funny business there, didn't give them the opportunity. So,
well, hopefully they can heal up before this Saturday because I'm telling you, it's going to be a great-ass match. Go ahead, Gabe. What you got?
Well, I just wanted to throw this in Haas's direction just because I'd like to get his opinion on this. Between the two of the competitors that are potential threats for your Hardcore Championship, who would you rather face more?
it doesn't matter. I have beaten Saint before, and that was in a title match. And, I have beaten Rage before, so don't neither one of them concern me. I've been round and round with Saint before and haven't had quite as many matches with Rage, and so it just is what it is.
Rage, not to interrupt you, but Rage is on a roll here lately, so I wouldn't underestimate that one.
I would argue Saint's on the roll. I mean, ever since he's gotten that crown on his head, say what you want about the man, and trust me, I've said plenty, but the man has both ends of these opponents have been pulling their weight as far as it comes to the FWWC. And I mean, you're the longest reigning champion for a reason, Haas, but I just got to throw this out there. I hope you don't underestimate either of these people, because if somebody, and Ace can attest with me on this, Saint anger is something to fear, regardless of what end you're getting it from. Because whether it's controlled chaos or uncontrolled chaos, you're getting it from both ends.
What are the chances, because they're a newly formed tag team. What do you think the chances are of them two basically just teaming up, taking you out of the picture completely, and then just going after each other for the title? Because that's a huge possibility. So do you feel that's a threat?
Not at all. There's no chance of that. Absolutely zero. And
Pride comes before the fall.
just
tell you
about
what.
just about as much
You
chance
would
of
know, Ace.
winning.
Jeez.
They have just about as much chance of that as you do winning the championship from me when you can't even go for it anymore.
That sounds like fear more than anything, though. Put it on the line, and I'll take it any day.
It's a trip that clause is still in effect. That because that was damn near from over a year ago. Damn, Saint, not Saint, but Ace, you still can't go for the hardcore title while Austin's holding it.
A year ago, it's been 2 years. It's been over 2 years now.
He took that for me 2 years ago.
Damn. Well, we might have to see if something different can happen with that. But Ace, now that you're here, I need to
I was going to say, let's take the heat off the Haas a little bit and throw it in Ace's direction, because he's not the only one that has to worry about something going on. You have an event coming up, my friend, because he is in. If we want to throw that card back up on there, Dewan, where does Ace find himself in this?
So listen.
Really, you got me against these again? Come on, man. You got me against the damn roster jumper and freaking Lecter, who couldn't even beat me one-on-one in a triple threat and in a damn a handicap match. Come on, that's an insult to my intelligence and my stardom. Come on, Dewan.
But Ace, hold on, Ace. Let's not get too far off track here. Let's have an actual conversation. Let's go back a couple weeks. Actually, let's go back a couple months. Okay? At Frenzy in France. You didn't do too well in that match. And then you were actually in the implication match along with Gabriel Arsene and Nathaniel Jones, and you didn't do too good in that. I'm not trying to be an asshole about it, but, my thing is this. How would we convince Gabriel Arsene and Nathaniel Jones, who did amazingly in the match, ended up being a double count for those guys? But, I mean, Ace, how would you convince yourself to be put in that match? Convince me. So how do we do that? How? Convince me.
At the moment, though, you make a good point. It's kind of hard to. But, I mean, really, against Lucha and Lecter, I mean, you could have put me against anybody else. I don't care. You could have put me at the bottom of the barrel, but they're kind of below the barrel.
Think about it, though. If you get past them, or if you would say when you get past them, you have to face Sick. Now, let's talk about Sick. Sick's been on the back burner. The man has earned a spot. Sick is one of the competitors for the #1 contendership for the FWC International Championship. So whoever wins this match between Ace, Lecter, or Lucha will face Sick in a future match to be determined for the #1 contendership for the FWWC International Championship. That nice belt right there. That belongs to
Badass. We should take the opportunity now. Look at that. I'm sorry, that belt is
baby steps. This is all. Listen here. FWWC end of days ain't till November. It's already September, and on a shoot, I'm sick of people putting Halloween shit up. Okay, like I've been driving through the neighborhoods, and no, because it's September. Okay, I'm not trying to get too up. This is what happens when you put the cart before the horse. Okay, I hate the way the world is right now. It is too damn early to see pumpkins in the middle of the road in the middle of the yard as I'm driving around for work. It's bullshit. No, it's not Halloween yet. Now I love Halloween. Now again, not trying to shoot. I love Halloween. But it's still 95 degrees in Kansas City. Why are there pumpkins in the yard? No, it's too damn early. Sorry about that. My bad. Didn't mean to get off track. So like I said, that's not
back on the match. So I really do. I'm glad it's them two, honestly, because this is just like the match says. It's that last chance, that last dance. And who better to do it with than people who have actually had the kind of streak that I've had the past couple of months? Because let's be honest, like you said, it really hadn't been that good. So Lucha already knows how that feels. Lecter already knows how that feels. So I'm kind of like, I'm with guys that are trying to prove something just as much as I am. So their match is going to be great. Them guys, I love working with them. I give them hell, but I like working with them. Except for Lucha sometimes. He's a little weird. But, I mean, they're good guys. They put on good shows, good promos. It's going to be a good one. And I do look forward to going ahead and surpassing them and getting on over there to Stick, because we got unfinished business, me and Stick. And then if I win that one, when I win it, Susie, sweetie, that title's coming to me. That's too good to be just left over there with you, so it's gonna come home to daddy.
Now, We do have a bit of a record here to note here, but Lecter is the only one in that match with previous international title experience. He was the man who actually unified the championship to become international champion. So,
would you like to respond to that, Ace? You know, the records say that you've called over
put this man on the
500,000.
stage. We need to see this.
Let me phrase it like this. Let's rewind the clock back to the original tournament for the international championship. Had I not stepped out of that tournament to handle business with Gabe over at the next pay-per-view, who's to say I wouldn't have been the first champion? So that title should have already been with me, honestly. Remember that. Just saying, she may never would have got her chance if I'd have got it and not stepped out of that tournament.
You see the way this man pivots as soon as Haas puts him in the hot seat for the fines that this man has accumulated over the past year and a half.
$500,000, $500,000. Yeah,
$500,000, sir. What exactly are you doing to
between the
accumulate
midgets,
that
the camels, the elephants, the zoo animals, the clowns, the alligators, all kind of shit that you every time. That's why that's why you got that briefcase, dickhead.
None of them receipts are in my name. They're technically in the ones.
Jesus Christ. Okay, last match, because I can't be here all night, okay? Last match I'm going to talk about. Let me get that out of here because we ain't got all night, okay? So I'm very proud of this match. I am extremely proud of this match. I am extremely proud of both of these guys. Brothers in Arms put on an amazing match at FWC SummerStone to capture the tag team titles. But I knew in my heart that wasn't the end of the story. Yeah, they will be defending their tag team titles at FWC End of Days a couple months from now, in November, when it's actually cold and okay to put up shit like Halloween and Christmas stuff. But before we get to that, it will be Jason Curtis going against his tag team partner for the FWWC World Heavyweight Championship. This is actually Bishop's first title defense, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm extremely proud of what both of these guys done in this group, in and out the group. I'm extremely proud for the programs they've done, and I'm extremely proud of their dedication, not only to this group, but also to each other and also to this match. I don't want this match to be overshadowed by anything else, man. All these matches are amazing. But this heavyweight championship match, this first title defense, is going to be off the damn chain, and nobody deserves it more than Jason Curtis.
I was going to say credit where credit is absolutely due. I mean, both of these men, you want to talk about workhorses. These men are stallions. They are putting in that work, not just in the tag division, but just to really make sure that the heavyweight championship has because I like to think of them as brother and sister belts. The Warriors Heart Championship is usually for the dollars and cents. But the World Heavyweight Championship is very much the wrestling connoisseur belt. It's a Bret Hart-esque title where the people are, involved and honestly, we've all seen people climb up the ranks to be able to claim that championship. I mean, Moby Lee, and previous at Lawman, Luke Justice. We've had lots of people that can, say that, and I think both of these individuals have an opportunity to fill into its lineage. But just to give you guys two questions here. One, do you think this affects Brothers in Arms tag team matches going forward? And two, out of the two, who do you think is the one to walk away with the belt?
Well, since I'm the booker, I'll answer first. Do I believe it's going to affect them as a tag team? Absolutely not. I do not. I think that their union, I think that their, time together as a tag team, who better to face you for your title than the person that knows you the most? See, I had strategy there. There is no one in this group that knows Bishop like Jason Curtis. And actually, there's no one in this group that knows Jason Curtis like Bishop. So I believe that actually gives to the match, the fact that these two gentlemen know each other inside and out, though they never really face each other in one-on-one singles competition. And on top of that, it's for a title. Now, your next question, because it was a two-part question, who I think is going to come out on top. I don't think there is any advantage. Would I like to see Jason Curtis come out victorious because the man deserves it? Absolutely. Would I like to see Bishop retain? Absolutely. I'll go with the old cliche saying, whoever wins, the winner, should I say, the big winner in this match is the FWC audience. That's just I know.
You don't want to pick sides, my friend. All right, Ace, let's get your take on this. I just want to know, who do you think's got it? Well, and do you think this, as somebody who's feuded with somebody when it comes to a tag team imploding, what exactly happens when that happens? And who does this affect Brothers in Arms, and who do you think's got it?
I don't think it affects them as a tag team. I think in a lot of ways, just from experience, I really believe that a match like that will bring them closer. Because who better to go to war with than somebody that you actually trust, especially with that title. And you know there's not going to be any shady things going on. You know there's not going to be any tricks, no outside interference, anything. It's just a straight up man-to-man, who's the better man. And I really don't even think it's about ego. I think it's more about let's just put on a show, because both of these guys in this company has done that the whole time they've been here. Jason Curtis has been one of the biggest ones to say, hey, I don't care, win or lose, I'm going to put on one of the best shows. And Bishop's the same way. And Bishop, ever since I've been here, matter of fact, that was one of my very first matches here. I was one, but he did not care whatsoever. That man was just happy to be there and put on a great show. And as far as coming out as a winner, I believe, honestly, at this point, nothing towards Jason Curtis's as far as his hunger for that title. But look how long it took Bishop to get where he's at. Look how long it took Bishop to, say, hey, look, I am now the top dog. I think he wants it more. I think he's already proven that he's the top guy, because he wouldn't hold that title if he wasn't. I think he's more hungry. I think he wants it more. For me, I think Bishop comes out the winner.
All right, and Hardcore Haas, that leaves you, and then we can close with me, and we can jump into our next topic.
As far as who's going to win this match, I'm going to give it to Bishop to win this match. Because when it comes to those tag titles, Bishop had to carry him in order for him to win a damn title. I mean, look how many times he came after me and can't get the job done. I beat him time and time again when it came to Jason Curtis. And when it comes to singles matches, if Jason Curtis ain't got somebody to carry him, he can't win. Just that simple, So I'm giving it all to Bishop, because he's the one that carries that whole tag team. So.
Damn,
Wow.
boss, you just throwing shade for your birthday. What
Wow,
the hell?
for real, man? What the fuck?
You ain't putting nobody on. Goodness gracious.
On blast? Are you kidding me? Oh God.
Please,
Okay.
put that kid over your knee or something. What the hell? Damn.
Do you get any left from Haas? Come on.
I will try my best to explain the only thing that concerns me when it comes to this tag team. And that's because there is nothing better than a feel-good moment of, it's their namesake. They're brothers in arms coming together to conquer somebody to become tag team champions. But you guys aren't asking the real question is, where do you draw the line with somebody that you respect more than anything? Ace, you know better than anybody when it comes to somebody like me. Not only do you know my strengths, you know my weaknesses. And you better than anybody knows that you exploit those to get what you want, because at the end of the day, it's not personal, it's just business. And, where we can all come together and sit around the campfire and sing Kumbaya at the end of the day. But when it comes to this business, when it comes to that FHC, that World Heavyweight Championship, what are the lines that are going to be drawn and crossed when it comes to it? And who's going to be the one to pull the trigger? These are the things, gentlemen. These are the things that you have to worry about, because when you square up to somebody you consider family or a brother, or even just a person who understands you to that degree, and you really have to sit there and ask yourself, damn, am I really going to hurt this man? That tiny lapse in judgment makes all the difference. So just to try to put a pin in this as far as what my answer is, at the end of the day, I think Bishop is the man who holds that belt for a reason. And it is no disregard to Jason Curtis. I absolutely want to see him win this belt more than anything. But if he can't fit it together, I don't think he's got that killer instinct the way that Bishop does. And so that's why I see Bishop retaining his championship. But with that, we have a very big card coming into Ultra Class for the FWWC, ladies and gentlemen. And Dewan, I just want to throw this out there just because I'm glad you gave me the info on this. But Nathaniel Jones, just so you get this, buddy, everybody here can attest to this. You tend to have this pageantry, this pomp, this circumstance. You know, you walk around like you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And realistically, my friend, as much as you want to try and act like I'm not on your radar, you haven't beaten. Now, I haven't put you away either. The difference is that's my goal. I don't acknowledge it. You're still right inside my sights, and I'm ready to hit the trigger. You just got to be able to make sure you don't move out of the way, my friend. So just keep yourself prepared because Gabriel Arsene, you're in the scope, and I'm ready to fire. Anyways, sorry.
That's good.
And Gabe, you mentioned, looking at Susie's belt that is on the way, and we're talking about the match between you and Jones, or you and Nathaniel Jones, and what's on the line for you guys as far as being in contender talks.
I wanted to save it. Look at that.
Ooh,
yes.
That thing's pretty.
Yes.
That's a pretty belt, I tell you what.
And
it's going
to
look even better when it's right around this shoulder, gentlemen. All right, because
I do have to say, here
we go.
I appreciate this, even though I don't like the man. I think he's cocky. I think he's full of himself, but he does
Have you
good
listened
work.
to anything you've said about yourself for the past hour?
So both of these belts were designed by Doomed Outfitters, who is none other than the man right down there. He is the man who designed those titles, and he's the man who made those titles, and as well as the title that I'm still trying to get back, but we do want to thank you for everything you do, Ace. We appreciate
Not a problem, man. You're only as good as your team, man, and I got to give my guys credit. I got a great team. Sometimes they're slow. God forbid they're slow. I have to stay on them. Shipping especially, these guys are horrible when it comes to shipping. But as far as their talent, I couldn't ask for no better. So my guys are good. I got to give them all the credit.
I'd rather it take forever and be perfect than rush and garbage.
Ace,
that's the way I look at video games.
Ace, Jimmy Harris is Doomed Outfitters. He's got to get with you for a belt, man. So
hey, there you go.
Gotta call this man, dude. We have it. We're sponsored, Jimmy. Hit him up.
Look, and I tell people all the time, look, I don't care if you draw it on a napkin, and it don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be an artist. You tell me what you want. And I've told people this before. God forbid I had to do it for an office one time. They wanted a belt for the biggest dick in the office, and I don't know if they meant literally or as far as personality, but we actually made a big gold-plated dick belt for this guy, and that's what they done. So you name it, we do it. I've done them for car shows. I've done them for all sorts of stuff, and that's something I'm very artistic. I do give myself props with that. You name it, I draw it, make it.
And Jimmy also says thank you for the Hall of Fame belt for the St. Louis Hall of Fame.
Very beautiful.
That was fun. I love doing that
one. Andrew Dowdy made mention that you made him a belt, and he's absolutely loving his belt, which I have seen his belt in person. It is a great job you did on that belt as well. So, definitely you need a belt or something, hit up Doomed Outfitters. But Dewan, any last words before we let you go, sir?
No, that's it. I gotta get ready for this weekend. You know how we do. Gotta figure out how I'm gonna pay this $30 for this damn it. But that's a whole nother. I'm not gonna get into that rant either.
Please get into that rant. I want another 20 minutes of content.
Listen, I'm not gonna have a renting segment. I only got a FWC segment. I gotta pay another 15 for a whole another segment. I'm good. So I'm out.
All right. CEO Dewan Mills, everybody. And Ace, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take you out here for a little bit, but then we will.
Why? It's the second. No, hold on, wait. It's the second hour. We have to introduce him anyways.
But we have another segment before we get to him.
Okay. All right. We'll bring you right back in this. All right.
And we may do a few more questions that we'll bring you in before we do a few more questions. But like I say, we do have another segment to get to, so we will bring you back in though. So, but as I say, we do have someone else waiting here backstage. He is also a sponsor for our show, so we want to thank him too, and he is a normal face you see on the show, and we absolutely love having him on. So let's get to the snippets of truth with the one and only Big Daddy P.
Everybody now. What's up? What's up? Oh, man, amazing. It was I had this dream that last Tuesday I was on the show and it was Renee and Joe. It was like the old days. It was like, whoa. It was almost like a really weird acid trip. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh man, where's Hoss and Gabe? I'm like, wait, they maybe finally got a day off? A day of rest? All is well, gentlemen. Good to see ya.
Always great to see you, Big Daddy. We absolutely love you when we bring you on here.
Now, Hoss, hold on, Hoss. I heard it's your birthday today. Is that correct?
Yes, today is my birthday.
Yes. Well, I have something for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
We baked you a birthday cake if you get a tummy ache and you moan and groan and woe. Don't forget we told you so. Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Make a wish, dear, and blow out the candles.
Here they go.
Happy birthday!
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Better late than never.
But Big Daddy, we are getting an echo. Whenever somebody talks, we're hearing it coming from your end.
You might want to lower the slide on your volume a little bit. It might just be picking up.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Thank you. Yeah, these settings on this stuff, man, I kind of stay in my lane.
Right.
So, as you can see, Snippets of Truth, we have had 7 episodes already. And as you know, I don't look at the number. I look at the growth in the number. And I'm thankful for the opportunity that God has given me to be able to love on you guys, because you guys are awesome. And I want to let you know, I have an idea for a belt. And it's something that a belt that I've never seen before. But try and imagine a black belt, shiny black, but on the top it says, and it's arched, Chaplain, and then WTP, and then Big Daddy P. And I'll pay for it. So Doomed Outfitters, I'm going to send you a message. And I want to get this because this has been such a privilege and it's been life-changing for so many people. And I thank God that you guys make this available, because as we talked a couple weeks back, this isn't a section of the show. There are some people that are a little off. They're taken off by it. And that's a good thing because it's an opportunity for them to hear the good news. And so that's why I'm here, and I have a snippet for you if you want it.
Absolutely, Big Daddy. You go ahead and lay it on us.
Do we have any high spots or no?
Yeah, we got some high spots. We'll hit some, but let's go ahead and get that snippet here from you.
All right. Now this is pretty clear right here, okay? Now this is not just me saying it. And a lot of people don't understand that fear is not always a bad thing. Matter of fact, in this case, it's all about reverence. You know, you could be afraid of something, but not be scared of it. And what I wanted to share today, and I think why this is so important, is because of everything that has taken place over the last week and a half. Because some people are afraid now to speak. But Proverbs 29:25 says, the fear of man brings a snare, but he who trusts in the Lord will be exalted. Matthew 28:10-28 reminds us, do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Reverence is a profound feeling of deep respect, love, and awe for something or someone. And when there is lack of love, then the heart gets very cold. And we have a lot of people who have very cold hearts. They're very bitter. They're very angry. They're angry with God. They're angry with people. And that's okay, because not all of us have a relationship with our Creator. A good portion of the world won't even acknowledge God. And that's fine. You have the freedom and right to do that. But those who do, that is what freedom of speech is all about. It's being able, and freedom of religion. We have a right to be religious or not. And I just want to encourage those who have put their faith and trust in Christ to fear God, not man. Don't worry about what man can do to you, because although Charlie Kirk is off this earth, should I not remind you that was part of his plan? And look at the impact he made in the ministry that God gave him. And not everybody is Charlie Kirk. Not everybody has a voice. Not everybody's gift is their words like we have. We could talk about absolutely nothing for hours and hours and hours. But I made a decision that not only am I going to try and only say what God wants me to say, but also allow my personality and who he made me to come out. I'm not Charlie Kirk. I don't want to be Charlie Kirk. Certainly not now. But you're not going to stop me from talking. Nobody's going to stop this but God. And God has had 25 years to stop it. But for whatever reason, as long as I continue to say what he wants me to say and continue to love the unlovable and be compassionate to those who need compassion, even those who do murder, who break laws, we have to love them either way. Doesn't mean we need to get beaten up by them, because God knows exactly where they're at. And if the last thing they see is love, then so be it. I don't know. I mean, I could sit here for 3 hours, but I mean, do you understand that even though we have people in the world who are evil, right? And they might always be evil. They might always have evil intentions. That's between them and God. In the meantime, while there's a bunch of good people around, let's continue to encourage them, because I know a lot of people who were very discouraged about speaking out now about what they believe because they're afraid they're going to be killed. I get it. I got no problem with it, man. I don't, because I know where I'm going after. See, if you don't know where you're going, well, that could be a problem. Then you could freak out. But remember the word fear, F-E-A-R? False evidence appearing real. when you do have fear in your life, it's usually something, oh my God, if this happens, then this is going to, like how people are chain smokers. We can be chain sinners. We can do the same thing over and over again. Keep worrying about money. Keep worrying about finances. Let me tell you, and this is very personal, but for the last 2.5 years, my wife and I have been financially struggling more than we ever have in our life. And just today, God opened up a door that has changed that. And let me tell you, if we would have changed and stopped doing what God wanted us to do because we had money problems, then where was our love to begin with? And so now that things are going to change, what are we going to do with that? So anybody who's watching now, man, don't lose hope. Even if you think your prayers aren't being heard, or even if you think God's on vacation or he's ignoring you or whatever it is, I know he's not. And I can promise you that he's not. Give him a try and just tell him Big Daddy P sent you. I know he already knows. But see, that name was given to me for a reason. And the fact that I have the opportunity once a week to come on a place where people love God, and even those who might not know they love God yet, and to be able to encourage them, I'm good, man. So either one of two things are going to happen. We're going to get through this show, or he's going to come back. Either way, we win. And it's so good to see you guys again. I'm sorry it's been so long.
It's quite all right, Perry. I just want to take this opportunity because you guys will love something. I was off camera when it happened, but I had to go find it. So I've been working. I've been doing my business show that I've been doing, and I've been working the whole way through because this is one of my best stores that I work at. And I was just doing my show and I'm doing my thing and I sold my product and completely unprompted. And if you can get this up on the full screen there, Haas, check out what somebody gave me today or the other day. Isn't that the greatest thing?
Love it.
It's a little hard to see.
And so I love those little guys. They're so cool.
Well, it says Jesus loves you right there on the chest.
And he does, man. And it isn't a religion. It's a relationship. Just like our relationship. I mean, I remember when you first came on the scene, Gabe, you were in the closet all the time. It was always dark. You were barely having facial hair. I mean, barely. You are now a young man. You're speaking your approach to what you want to say. Your presentation is 300 times what it was, man. And that's because you've been practicing. You've been prepared, and God loves prepared children. He loves those who are willing to put hard work and time into something and believe in it. And even if it's wrestling, whatever it is, your business, whatever it is, to have a passion and to be passionate about something. And you can see it today because on the news, there's a lot of fake passion. But I had to tell you because again, I've been at this quite a while with Wrestle Talk, and to watch you guys just embrace the gift that God has given you to be able to communicate and talk about what you love to do is such an encouragement to me.
You know, and Gabe, you showed that little Jesus. There's actually a minister in South Carolina that has had people mail those little Jesuses in, and they actually have put them on a map now. Cool. So that they can see where they have all come from. And he's gotten them from just about every state, and he's even gotten them from other countries. So, you know, it's just neat. I have to think of that when you showed that. I thought of that.
It was nostalgic for you. I'm gonna just keep them on my little display right here. Anytime Perry comes up, I'll just bring them out.
Cool. Maybe I should grow my hair back out again.
Right? Yeah. Funny thing is, you mentioned that you can find it on my Instagram. It's one of the first photos I posted. My hair came down to here. I looked like Jesus. People kept calling me that. It was crazy.
Dude, back in the 80s, in the Hollywood Sunset Strip clubs, people would come up and go like this to me. And I used to just irritate because I'm like, dude, that's not me, right? And so, and now, because every week I'm always on international TV, I keep it kind of just clean out of respect for the ministry that I work for, because, you know, again, and I mean, Mrs. Hartman, honestly, she wants me to grow it out. But at the same time, I'm lucky to have what I have because it's starting to go back a little bit. So I'm going to be looking like Hoss soon. I'm gonna shave that sucker and do that Roman Reigns fade on the beard. How it just
goes all the way up.
Yeah,
that's fair. No, we'll give you a beanie. That's the perfect way to do it. You just cover it up.
Yeah, put a hat on. That's what they do.
There you go.
Real quick, I haven't seen any actual prayer requests come through. If you have a prayer request, feel free to drop it in the comments section. But
we want to do a high spot before or after the prayer.
Well, let's go ahead and let's have Big Daddy go ahead and hit us with the prayer, and then we will we'll hit another high spot or so with Big Daddy here.
Sound good?
Awesome.
All right.
Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for your goodness and grace. We thank you for this time that you've given us, for you are completely in control of our time, of our breath, of our air. I thank you for those that continue to join week in and week out to talk about the things that they love. I also pray, Father, for those who have not acknowledged not only you, but have not acknowledged that the problems that they're facing, you have an answer for. So I just pray that they would turn to you, that they would trust you with it, that you would show them who you are, just like you showed me. I'm not crazy. Many people for years thought I was out of my mind, but instead they realized I'm in love. And I'm in love because I love the opportunity that you give me to encourage those who you bring me in front of. And I'm just thankful for Wrestle Talk Podcast. I pray that you continue to bless their families, that you continue to enlarge their audience, that you bring guests on who are going to make the show even better. And I thank you that we can be a part of your plan in 2025, just like back in 2025 years ago, when you paid the ultimate price for us, that by believing that we would have faith in you and receive eternal life, the free gift of God. We thank you for that gift, and I thank you for those who trust you, and I love you. And I ask these things in Christ's name, amen.
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 All right. And one of the prayers that was kind of unspoken, I mean, it's been dropped here in the thing, is and actually, I don't know if it's more a prayer for like myself and the other people who live around this general area, or if it's a prayer for Susie. She's working to get to drive a school bus, and she's getting ready to take her test. And once she passes that, she's going to be released on the road to drive a school bus.
Can you imagine how wild that bus is going to be? Holy cow. He's going to have battle royals right in the middle of the buses. Are you sure this is a good idea?
Well, like I say, I don't know whether it's a prayer for her to pass the test to drive the bus, or whether it's a prayer for us that are going to be on the roads while she's driving the bus. But one way or the other.
The prayer for the people on the bus itself. We love you, Sister Haas.
Hey, but all right, let's go ahead and let's get another high spot, and then we'll get Ace back in here, and we'll get things finished out, because it's been a pretty good night. There's been plenty to talk about, and I know we've only gotten to one question, so we definitely need to get to more, because there's more in there, and I know Big Daddy absolutely loves to talk some high spots with us. So let's hit that randomizer and see what that randomizer's got in store for this one. And
oh boy, here we go.
Man,
we gotta talk about this now.
Such a bummer. I love this guy.
Andrade.
Okay, I can't wait to see what this question is. Hey.
So what the question is?
How does he really feel about Charlotte Flair? No.
What are your thoughts on the news that Andrade has been fired by WWE?
All right, Big Daddy P, it seems like you're ready. You're foaming at the bit to chomp into this one. Would you like to take us to start us off on this one?
I can only imagine what
that
it
sounds
has
like a
to
song.
do with. I mean, really, first of all, I actually like him as a worker. I think he does a really great job, but I just think that either it's too much on Charlotte, Or again, I don't know. He could have failed a wellness policy. I don't know what the details are yet. I haven't got caught up on it, but rest assured, he has a lot of value to offer, and I hope he goes to AAA, stays somewhere, because again, he's got a lot of potential.
You know, that would be the ultimate irony if he went back to AAA. It's like, hey, I got fired by WWE, and now I'm back in the same company.
And it probably has to do with Charlotte, most likely.
You know, the one of the rumors going around, and now this is just rumor, this is not official, because they haven't released why he officially got fired. But one of the rumors is that they wanted him to do Worlds Collide, and they've been wanting him to do these crossover shows with AAA, and he said no.
Why?
He did not want to do them. And
but that's not his job, and that's why you got. If that's why you got fired, I believe that's what. Because when a promoter tells you, "Look, this is what we're doing. This is what you want me to do," like John Cena would say, "Just shut up and do it."
Yes.
Whether you think it's going to work or not, they're paying you. Do the damn job.
Well, and then sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Perry. It's just like I'm like realistically. There has never been more of a better opportunity to get your stock up in WWE, especially for the Latin American audiences or the Mexican wrestlers, than with these crossover shows. It's like, I love CN. I like genuinely love this dude in NXT. I loved him when he was La Sombra back down in CMLL, and he did the matches in New Japan. I know the man's career prior to coming to WWE. It's like realistically, the guy would have a limited run in WWE. I'm like Intercontinental Champion, United States Champion, sure, World Champion. Jury's still out on that. But if there was ever an opportunity, especially for somebody like him who has been there for, because I'll be honest, I forgot he was on the roster. Like, and that's not a good look. Like, this would have been the perfect opportunity for him to get back on the mat, to be able to get some work in, and it's like the way I hear it when he says, no, I don't want to do that show, it sounds like, I'm too good for that shit. It's like, are you really?
But
it's
yeah,
especially with a crowd like as big as Triple Mania was. Like, come on, dude, really?
Yeah, that's one rumor. There's another rumor that he failed wellness policy. There's another rumor that it was Charlotte Flair that got him fired. So many rumors out there. But honestly, I think Andrade can be a good talent. And, he left AEW to come back to WWE just to get fired. And yes. I feel for him. I can't believe that things went that way, but for whatever reason they did. And,
can I bring up a fun stat for you guys?
It seems like no matter what you look at, though, other than saying Charlotte Flair had him fired, other than that, it looks like whatever it was his fault. If it was him saying, no, I'm not going to do a show, then that's his fault. If it was him not passing wellness, that's his fault.
That's his fault.
Even though I feel for him that, things happened that way, he just up and left AEW, probably burned the bridge there, because I'm sure if he goes back over there and says, hey, can I have my job back? They're probably going to laugh in his face, but, I hate that it worked out that way for him because he is such a good talent, but it seems like it is his fault no matter which way you look at it.
Well, and none of us want this guy to end up the way that it did. And
right.
I just wanted to point out a really funny stat that I don't know if either of you noticed this. So the WWE Speed Championship, right? The last 3 champions have concerning details. So the first one was Ricochet, right? So he won the belt, and then he left the company, right? And then Andrade won it the second time, and now he's left the company. The third person to win it was Dragon Lee, which I don't know what's going to happen as far as it goes, but from what I've heard through the rumor mill is that he has 3 months left on his contract. So I don't know if he plans on re-signing or not, but if he does, that'll make it 3 for 3. And then I'm trying to remember who has the belt right now. I think it's Americano, but I'm just kind of like, somebody said the WWE Speed title is in reference to how fast they're getting the hell out of the company.
Yeah, I think Americano has it, and right after Americano won it was when, you know, and spoiler alert, close your ears if you don't want to know who Americano is, or at least was, you know, right after that was when Chad Gable got hurt.
Oh, no.
By the way, in case you didn't notice, you remember the 80s WWE that all the wrestlers make fun of? The cartoony, the real, like, corny, right?
No, it's classic. I love it. It's corny, but I eat all of it.
In 2025, there's a Mr. Iguana. Now, I thought we weren't going back that route. Now, I do understand why he's there, and I love the enthusiasm of his character. But I am going to say two things. One of them that is you're probably not going to expect. The second one you might. But the first one is I think the comeback of 2025, the return, one of my favorite returns is Santino Marella. I am so happy to see John Cena. I am so glad that he is back. That and looking to the future, I can almost taste it. I can almost hear the countdown. That Jericho countdown. It's coming. It's coming. It's perfect timing. So those are the two things that I want to leave here because, again, I was shocked that Brock came back. We had conversations about Brock. I thought he would never come back. I did.
But you held out. I know you did. That's the thing because you were the biggest believer in that.
Again, with everything going on, but again, it's a great time in wrestling. I love all the promotions. I'm glad with TNA, everything that is going on all the way around. Not sure about this WrestleMania in Saudi. This kind of I don't know what to think. Money. I mean, man.
What I heard is that apparently, and you can tell when you look at the photos too, Triple H is pissed.
Dude,
he is so
press conference. It was they were so.
It looked like somebody died. Like it was so mortifying. Apparently, from what I heard, he had planned it to be in either England or France, and they shot it down. That's what I heard through there's no fucking confirmation on that or not, but I heard that's what it was. And then when he found out it was in Saudi, he was pissed.
Since we're bringing it up, that actually was in the randomizer, and hopefully I didn't just completely bust the randomizer by doing this. But I reached in and I pulled it out there.
Yeah.
So now that WrestleMania is officially announced as being in Saudi Arabia, how do you think this will impact morale with the fans and the stars? So since you brought it up here.
You want to go, Gabe? Or
I want you to take it just because I want to hear what your opinion is on this.
Dude, what's so funny about this? And again, think business, guys, just business.
Always.
Saudi Arabia is building billions of dollars worth of infrastructure in their area. And they're bringing in all the sports because people, just so you know, not all of us are as broke as we are, okay? There are a lot of people who are going there and having a life there because there's like next to no crime. It's just a different part of the world. So I know why they're doing it. I think what's going to really blow people's mind is how many people are going to actually go to this WrestleMania. I think this is going to be the most sold tickets out of any WrestleMania to date, only because it's such a tourist trap right now. And I mean, I think isn't the wait, who's there? Boxing is there now. UFC is there now, which could be a whole nother thing. The whole UFC there, and what then Dana White and this, all that kind of jazz, man. It's a great time to be in the entertainment industry. That's all I can tell you. And so wherever it's going to be, wherever WrestleMania is ever going to be, I'm going to watch it because it's always right around my birthday. So it's almost like a birthday present from the wrestling gods, you know. So, but looking forward to it. Very excited. I don't know who's going to be there, who's still going to be alive, what's going to happen, but whatever.
But, you know, we talk about this, but I just saw that they have opened a WWE office in Saudi Arabia.
Hey,
Really?
dude, there's a lot of businesses out there, American companies that are out there. That's what all these agreements are for. Whether people understand politics or not, if you paid attention and got your head out your butt and actually paid attention to the laws and everything that's taking place and the money that's being exchanged, every country has evil. Every country, including ours, has bombed people by accident. So, but it's still a religious war. They want to kill Americans. Americans want to turn all the other countries into just democratic, regular running countries. But it's never going to happen. It's not supposed to happen. Last time the world tried to make everyone the same, God said, I'm going to change your languages, and really jacked them up. So I wouldn't go down that route. I would just kind of just continue to understand that whatever Rome does in Rome, go to Rome. Whatever Paris does, to act like you are in Paris. Because the moment you try and change something, it just makes it worse. So I've taken enough of your guys' time. I love you. I appreciate you. For your guests waiting backstage, I apologize. But again, thank you. Much love. Much love to Little and Big Jesus, both of them. And you guys just continue to do what you love to do. And God willing, I'll see you next week.
All right, Big Daddy P, everybody.
Good to see you, Perry.
As always,
Never
another
dull
great
moment
segment.
with Perry on the show, man. Gotta love it.
Well, you know, if you weren't with us earlier, you may not have.
Wait, I forgot. September 21st, Oklahoma City. James Storm is going to be there.
It's a little hard to hear on me. Okay, are we able to pull that graphic up real quick? Just because I don't know if everybody caught that. All right, so September 21st, Action Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. James Storm. Wow.
It's been about 10 years since he's been back in Tullahoma, so it's good to have him back.
Susie and I actually got a chance to meet him at a show a couple years ago. I think they called it Restival, and he was there. And so we got to meet James Storm there. He was a great guy, absolutely awesome. So, you know, it's great to hear that he's coming out that way, and that you'll get the chance to see him.
I was going to say before we throw it out there, Perry, if you could repeat it, just because we really couldn't hear you over the music there for a moment. So we don't have to put the graphic back up, but if we could just
Action Sports Wrestling, September 21st, Tullahoma, Tennessee. And we have shows, we probably have about 4 shows a year. And it is definitely going to, I almost kidnapped him one time. There's the bus driver again. Boy, we're never going to let this one down. I think she needs to get a bus, and she can build a house in it.
Go ahead and finish what you were saying, and then I'll tell the story real quick.
It's all good. September 21st, Tullahoma. If you happen to be in Tullahoma, come up by the Action Sports Indoor Arena. And we have shows there. We had Jeff Jarrett there last time. And I almost, one of the reasons why they don't like me talking about it is I have a big mouth. And sometimes I share things I'm not supposed to share. And so I've learned that you just share the date and the time, the name of the promotion, and then you leave it there, because otherwise Big Daddy Pete is known blowing some surprises. But that's why it's how I get people to the show. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Yeah. But real quick, yeah, Susie, we went to Rustival, and it actually was a show that was done by 3 promotions in the area, one of which being WDWA, Voltage, and Pay Your Dues, which don't even think they're around anymore, but that's
They
neither
paid
here
their
nor there.
dues.
Yeah. And but the 3 of them got together and said, let's put on this one big show. And so they did. And they had James Storm there. And they also had Buff Bagwell there. That was before he had surgery and lost his leg and everything. But, so anyway, we go, and Susie kept talking about, she absolutely loves James Storm. She kept talking about kidnapping James Storm. So I told him, I said, you need to be careful, because this girl's going to try kidnapping you or something. You need extra security.
Chloroform in your back pocket.
And so after we told him that, he kept saying, hey, if I come up missing, just go looking for her. And she told him, said, now, wait a minute. If you come up missing, just go looking for me. They're not going to find me because I'm kidnapping you. So is it a really good idea to look for me? Yeah, she had a point. But yeah, so she wanted to kidnap him.
Maybe someday we'll all be able to get together and have a live Wrestle Talk podcast. I know we talked about that about 2 years ago, but it's hard to get everybody in one area. That's the hard part. So I'm going to pray that you guys get a big sponsor who can actually pay for a show specifically dedicated, 2.5 hours, 3-hour show, whatever, even if it's at a show or again, if I could afford it, I'd ship y'all out to Tullahoma. We'll do it at our Action Sports Arena, but I can't afford that. So, but you never know. But I just hope someday we can all be together and have a live show. I think it would be awesome.
So, all right. Well, I would love that, Big Daddy. And, Lord willing, maybe that'll happen someday. So,
if not, we'll do it in heaven.
There you go.
See, that'd be a hell of a podcast.
Okay.
All right.
As I was saying,
dude, it's been crazy.
As I was saying before he popped back in, not that I mind him popping back in, mind you, but as I was saying, if you missed it, we were supposed to have Jeannie, aka Hollywood, the original Glow Girl, was supposed to be our guest tonight. We did advertise her. She had confirmed, but then she hit me up and said, hey, I got an issue. I forgot to write down this other event that I've got that night. And so I'm not going to be able to do yours. Can I reschedule? So
would not be the first time it's happened here in the Wrestle Talk podcast. Joe Dombrowski, obviously, we've had it happen. It happens. So we just look forward to seeing you when you come back.
Exactly. She has rescheduled. She will be here in October. She has confirmed that date with me, and she put it on her calendar, and hopefully things will work out, and we'll have her in October. And we definitely look forward to that. But that doesn't mean that we're going without, because as I announced in the first hour, and I'm going to bring him back in, and I left the high spots question up just because I'm sure he wants to jump in on this one as well, and we'd love to get his take on that. So if we could please welcome back in the newest addition to the Wrestle Talk podcast family. He'll be filling in as host from time to time, as needed. You'll see him jumping in on different things, and it's just a pleasure to have him. Yes, I said it's a pleasure to have him, and he does have a lot of wrestling background, a lot of wrestling knowledge, and that's why we want to bring him on tonight. We want to bring him on just so you guys can get to know him a little bit more. And
I want to get to know him a little bit more.
and just to learn who he is, so you know who he is when you get to see him. And actually, him and Susie will be hosting a show September 30th. So 2 weeks from tonight, it'll be him and Susie on Wrestle Talk Podcast. So please welcome him back in, the one and only Ace.
Thank y'all,
Come
man.
on,
Thank
you
y'all for
can't
having
hear
me.
Hobbs. You're the one in charge of the boards, man. Where's this man's music? Come on. I know you don't like this guy, but come on.
Before I jump into anything, though, I didn't have a chance to type it all out. There was a lot to put in. I know when we was asking for prayer requests earlier, I didn't have a chance to do it. If everybody will remember, because I got 3, I'll try to make it quick. My mother-in-law, her dementia has progressed a lot. And unfortunately, the other day she had both her legs amputated. And with her condition like it is, and her waking up literally every time, it's fresh on her. It's like waking up, realizing your legs are gone every single moment. And so anytime, her condition kicks in and she has a bad moment and her memory's gone, when she comes to, she looks down, her legs aren't there. And it causes a huge mess. It's heartbreaking for the family, definitely stressful on her. And it's caused issues with her blood pressure. They're steady having to keep her sedated for the most part, but in doing so, that is causing problems with her blood pressure. So just a very iffy situation with that. So if y'all keep her in prayer. Second prayer request is me personally. I've had God on my heart just really heavily the past couple of weeks. I'll get into this when we get into my background. I was in the ministry. Well, I say was. Nobody's ever out of the ministry. I had thought I needed a break, and I walked away. And God has really stepped on me about that. So that's something that He's weighing heavy on my heart about. And lastly, as a dad, my baby girl just announced she's getting married. So pray that I make it to the wedding without a shotgun, the words my future son-in-law.
Now all I'm just thinking about is that episode of King of the Hill where they had Lucky and they had a shotgun wedding. It's one of them.
Well, I got to give him credit though. He did come to me. He calls me up and he says, he went old school with it. He says, "Hey, do you mind if I marry your daughter?" And right from the rip, I'm like, "Hell no!" Like, go away, dude. Shut the door. And
where the hell are you at?
He's a good guy, and I got to give him credit. My daughter's happy. She, prayers for her in the situation. She is struggling with having a wedding without her mom. That is what she's struggling with. I don't know if y'all know my background. I'll get into just a little bit of that later. But anyway, and that's something it's weighing on her. And it's really heartbreaking seeing her go through it. So that's my prayer request. I got that out the way. I just didn't have a chance to put all that in a text earlier. All right, so on to the high spot. All right, I got to agree with the business aspect of this. If you're looking at it from, if you want to grow your product, if you want to get that fan base, why would you not? Even with whatever's going on over there, who's to say? And let's be honest, the whole world knows about wrestling. The whole world cheers for the guys, and it doesn't matter what kind of war is going on. It doesn't matter what they think of each other as a country. If John Cena goes to China, they're going to cheer for the man. If John Cena goes anywhere, they're going to cheer for him. And that's kind of you got to look at the blessing in it. Who's to say that this isn't the platform to possibly, I hate to sound corny, but maybe get people to be like, okay, well, you know what? If we look at this from finding a common ground, who's to say that wrestling is not the common ground? Because the more they expand and the more places they go to have these events, I mean, let's be honest, man, we can all relate to wrestling. We all grew up doing it. Even our favorite stars. Look at how mixed wrestling is. We all have favorite stars from all over the world. So that gives not only that country a chance to display their talent, but it gives us a chance to see that talent. And I think the only way it'll affect anybody, especially in Saudi Arabia, is maybe the morale of the women. I know a lot of the way the women.
I'm so glad you hit this. That's what I was thinking. That was the first thing I wanted to talk about.
Their character, a lot of their character is based off of their outfits, their uniforms, the way they are in the ring, especially their agility in the ring. And I know that I've watched interviews where they said that the more constricted they are, the less agile they are. and that's just a common deal. So I believe it'll affect the women a lot more because of how they're treated. And maybe somewhere, in the near future, they might have a different outlook. They might be more open to allowing women to express themselves openly. That's not our country. That's not our rules. But I kind of agree that if you're over there, respect that policy, respect their rules, and respect, their beliefs while you're there. Business is business. When you are paid to do a job, and I'm sure if they agree to go over there, that check is going to look amazing. So why would you not put that difference aside long enough to say, you know what, I'm just going to go handle business and then go. It's not like they're asking you to convert to their religion. It's not like they're asking you to convert to, their policies as far as politics. They're just asking you to put on a show in a respectful way towards their people. So I don't really feel that it's going to affect morale, but I believe with everything going on in the world, people's dreading it for the fact that they don't feel safe. And that's the biggest thing. I don't think they feel safe. I don't think they feel like it's a good move over there because it's very unpredictable, very shaky grounds, very unpredictable. Anything can happen. And I believe that's where the morale may drop with the stars. With the fans, I think the same thing. I believe that a lot of the fans have this one-sided view as far as how they view the world. And I'm not a political person. I don't really get into it. But I do have my personal, side that I, lean towards, but that's just me. I believe that if we look at that country outside of anything other than strictly business when it comes to the WrestleMania show, then we're looking at it the wrong way. And we're not giving them a chance to, because, hey, look at it like this. If you would have asked 20 years ago, hey, they're going to have WrestleMania over in Saudi Arabia, the whole world would have said no. America wouldn't have had it. WWE wouldn't have had it. Saudi Arabia wouldn't have had it. So I think it's a huge step in the right direction. We'll just put it that way.
I definitely think that's a very limited response when it comes to it, Ace. But just to take the opportunity, man, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Because I just want to take this chance to take the moment for those that don't know. And I don't want to take credit for this in the sense that I'm like, oh, it's not happen. But this gentleman right underneath here, he just on a whim. The reason this man is a part of the FWWC and is a part of the Wrestle Talk podcast here today was just because on a whim I posted I was looking for people for the FWWC. We were looking for talent for people. He just commented and DM'd me in my messages and was just like, "Hey, I'm interested." And I was like, "Oh, dope, cool." And then, what was your profile picture at that time? It was that Disney show. It was River City something. I forget what it's called.
Oh, Big City Greens. Big City Greens. That is my
favorite song. Nice. I remember that. That was so dope. And I just remember getting a message from this dude. I'm like, who's this guy watching cartoons? All right, I can get behind this.
I still watch it. I just got done watching before I come.
Such a good show. So I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you for being on the show, man. And I'm very sorry we probably got like 13 minutes left before we hit 2 hours before we jumped you back in. But, I really do hope with this experience in this interview that I can kind of get to know a little bit about you, because despite the fact that we've been tag partners for a little bit, I realized I'm like, I don't know a lot about you other than you live in Georgia. So, for the uninitiated, who is Ace? Who is William? How should people know the Ace of the FWWC?
Ace, as far as a character, was something I created honestly as a kid because of Top Gun. I'm not gonna lie, it was Top Gun. He was an ace. Maverick was an ace. I was more of a fan of Iceman. I really was. But that
when we were kids, that on lock, so.
Yeah, I know. So when we were kids, we would jump on our bikes back when we were still allowed to all over the neighborhood. Of course, I was born in the 80s, raised in the 90s kind of thing, or all through the 80s and 90s. We were still allowed to jump on our bikes and ride around. So our group would play fighter pilots. And I know it sounds corny, but we had a great imagination. And we would count our kills. We would throw pine cones at each other. We'd have our little basket. We'd have our pine cones. We would knock each other off our bikes, which was very dangerous, but very fun at the time for us kids. And I actually grew up loving Pappy Boyington and the Red Baron and stuff like that. I wanted to be in the Air Force. When I graduated, I went and tried to enlist. Unfortunately, medically, because of the fact that I have a condition, what they call hydrocephalus, where the ventricles in the brain hold a lot more fluid than they should. Now, it is dormant, so it's never really called pressure, except for maybe once or twice. And I did have some issues where it caused, a few issues. But because of that condition and because of the fact that my eyesight was completely horrible, still is, they flat told me, "Hey, look, you're never going to fly a plane." And it broke my heart. I remember on the way back from Jacksonville, I was so brokenhearted, and the recruiter was trying to talk to me, telling me, "Hey, it's going to be okay. You could join the Navy." Man, no, I wanted to fly a plane. But anyway, that's where Ace comes from.
You wanted to be Ace, not Tugboat. That's the whole distinction.
I wanted to be an ace. I wanted to be an ace in the deal. And it stuck because at the time, like I said, as a kid, we would tear each other up, and I got my kills every weekend. We'd get out there on them bicycles, and I would knock them off their bikes. So that was my kills. That was me as an ace, and it just stuck. And it was just something that really stayed with me all throughout. Wrestling has always been a huge part of my life. I've had family members that grew up in wrestling that wrestled right here in Georgia. I've had my great uncle that had wrestled back with Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair and all them. And just all sorts of wrestling connections in my family. And as a kid, I remember going to the show. My grandma was my biggest influence with the wrestling, and she was a little bitty old person, probably barely reached 4 foot. And I remember back in the Monday Night Wars, she was a huge fan of Stone Cold, but she was also a huge fan of Goldberg and Sting. And I remember sitting on the couch with her, and she would flip the channel like all of us did. She would flip back and forth.
Between Monday Nitro and Monday Night Raw, that was it. Just back and forth.
And so I got exposed to a lot of it. And as a kid, I went to all the shows, and right here at the Albany Civic Center, back when it was still a big event down here. They don't hold a lot now, but back then, Albany Civic Center was actually hosted pay-per-views too. And I remember as a kid watching Wrestler number 1, Wrestler number 2, and if you're in, and I know Hoss, we're about the same age, and I know if you remember Wrestler, well, you're a little older than me. Wrestler 1, Wrestler 2, you had oh man, Rock and Roll Express. You had all these guys that was like, just back then that were and the Von Erichs. I remember as a kid being able to watch the Von Erichs. AEW or AWA was a big thing down here too, and we did NWA. NWA was huge. We got to watch Magnum Steel, I think is what his name is, or whatever his name was. And there was a lot of the older wrestlers we got to watch. Yes. And I remember as a
Young
kid.
Lion with the old soul age, don't you forget it. I may not have been around at that time, but I know my history, all right? I study this shit too.
So I got to watch these guys as a kid, and it just amazed me because we went to a meet and greet, and what really hooked me in wrestling was when WCW was still fresh out from the NWA stage. And you remember when Sting still had the blonde hair, bleach blonde hair, and the rat tail. Oh God, yes. For Halloween, I did. I had the rat tail. I did all of it. And I painted my face and everything. So we were at a meet and greet, and what really hooked me was being around like all of them and seeing that they were normal people too. That they actually stayed. They took the time to talk to all of them. And I remember Sting walked past us. There was a group of us sitting there, and I was a little bitty old thing, and I still had the picture up until my house burnt down. But Sting walked past us, and I looked like, oh my God, I was trying to talk to him and get his attention. He turns around and goes all the way back where I was at and picks me up and holds me while he's talking to everybody, signing autographs. And people were taking pictures. To me, that had me hooked. I loved it. I got to meet Ric Flair as a kid. So grew up pretty much around wrestling my whole life. And when I was about 18 or 19 years old, I had the opportunity to join a local group around here. Got into it. It was GWA, and I got with them, loved it. And I was trained by a guy named Jake Slater. Rest of soul, he's passed on now, but I was trained by a guy named Jake Slater. He was a great guy. I stayed in it for quite a while and stayed as a jobber. Me being small, I could never really, I could never build up the weight and the strength. So I was always used as like a little high flyer, and the hardcore matches. That was more believable for me. So I got into the hardcore style. I got into the flipping around. I used to be able to backflip off the little luchador style. I love it. That's why I respect it now. It hurts like hell trying to do it now, but back then I loved it. And what got me to slow down, I was in a very bad wreck. I had, my job more or less took over my schedule. I was working with the sheriff's department at the time, so my job had took over the schedule. I was in a very horrible wreck. I had broken 2 discs in my neck and 4 in my back. So that took me off. That put me on the shelf for quite a while. And me trying to heal up and I basically used wrestling as a way to kind of drown everything out. I was grieving at the time. I was very young. I was only 22. I just turned 22, and I had lost my wife in the wreck, and I was raising kids by myself. So me trying to be a full-time dad, trying to deal with not only the grief but the physical, parts I was dealing with, still trying to work and provide. Uh, there was really no time for wrestling. There really wasn't. But there was that, and for me, that's something I've always been proud of. I've never smoked. I've never turned to drinking. I've turned to God for all my problems. And even though I butted heads with him quite a bit during that time frame, I still turned to God for that comfort and that guidance during the time of my loss. And he got me through a lot. And for me, when I started kind of spiraling and started having them rough spots where my spirituality wasn't strong, where I was in a very dark place mentally, spiritually, wrestling was kind of my go-to. So I basically forced myself to get back in the ring. And I joined this very careless local group. And I really did. It was a very local group. They gladly, I say gladly, never amounted to anything because some guys were dangerous. But at the time, that's what I needed to fill that gap. I got in the ring, I pushed my body. I was doing some of the dumbest matches, basically putting my body through the worst stuff to try to, I guess that was my drug. That was my adrenaline at the time. So wrestling was there for me, even though it was a very self-destructive thing to do for my body at the time. That's what helped me get through a lot. And I remember my kids, kind of freaking out. I would come home all bloodied up and stuff like that. My kids would freak, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, now I got to kind of ease up a little more, and but I never wanted to get out of it. I just could not physically get in the ring. I couldn't go to work the next day because God, I couldn't move. I would wake up mornings where my back would lock up, my neck obviously, would have problems. So I really could not get back into the ring physically. So I wanted to stay in it. And I got with a guy, one of my buddies I grew up with. We tried to get a little promotion off the ground. We started it for quite a while, stayed local. We didn't really try to go all out with it. So we did. We had our own promotion. And we had it going for about 2 or 3 years. And creative differences and, stuff happens. Don't work with family. I tell everybody that, don't work with family. So I still wanted to get into it. So I got on to where I started doing security, just basically doing security at all the shows. Any show I can get into, I was doing security, and I'm still doing security now. So, matter of fact, my next security deal is in November, where we're going to have Luke Gallows, and I'm trying to think. There's quite a few other ones, but I know Luke Gallows is going to be there, and there's quite a few. But we're going to do security there, and in doing so, that still gives me a chance to do some of the little spots every once in a while. Security gets banged up and tossed around. I'm like, yes.
You're still in the wrestling business, man. It doesn't. You may quit the wrestling business, but the wrestling business don't quit you, Ace. That's what I hear when I hear this story, man.
Yes, and I love it because and I know they thought I was completely retarded. Like I jumped up and down like a little kid because the first time they offered, and they're like, hey, we have a spot that we want to do. We have this guy, he's the heel, he's going to come out here and do this and this. And they're like, we need some people to get tossed around. I'm like, yes. And they're looking at me like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, toss me over the ring. I don't care. I don't throw me into the crowd. Do whatever you got to do. So I'm all into this stuff. And also at the same time, it gave me a chance to sit down with some of the wrestlers I was talking to. They would come to me, and at the time I had to face reality that at that point, I'm the old guy. I just turned 41, so it's like I'm the old guy now. And these guys are coming to me asking me advice about wrestling, asking me advice on cutting the promos and how to get with the crowd. And so it was a unique experience trying to even get into security. And then of course you reached out. You reached out as far as that. Me and you talked about the wrestling thing, and with the FWWC, I tell everybody, I don't care if it's corny, I don't care if it's nerdy, it's whatever. It's still it's the wrestling world. You're still involved. You get to take a character that you created and something that you put your passion into and be a superstar for guys that are not fit. And we all know not everybody's cut out to be in the ring physically. And that was something they told us. If you've ever been to wrestling school, they tell you a lot of people's not going to make it. Probably 50% of the class is not going to be in the ring. And for us that, can't get in the ring no more, for guys that are not able to really ever step into the ring for whatever reason, the FWWC gives them the opportunity to still be a star, to still be a champion, to still get your fan base out there. Because let's face it, FWWC is getting to the point where we're practically worldwide. And it is very popular. You got people all from every state, all over the place that tunes into our stuff, that joins us, and because of the Wrestle Talk podcast, even bigger fan base. So this gives me a chance to stay in the world of wrestling without having to physically get beat up anymore. But as far as that's my wrestling background, and a lot of it is just all of it. All of it's credited to God, and as far as just me as a person, just very passionate about what I do. Anything I put myself into, I was very passionate about. My wrestling deal, I was, my marriage, my kids. You know, I loved it, man. And me, I'm as I mentioned, my daughter's getting married. Me raising her as a single dad, I'm telling you, that was the yeah. So man, this guy, you know, we might go camping in the mountains, and y'all will see if I come back or not with him. That'd be determined, you know. But anyway, I'm blessed with great parents. That's what I credit a lot of stuff to. I'm blessed with very great parents. Raised my mom and dad still together. They're going on 43 years of marriage now. They're still together, still kicking. They're still the corny old couple that kisses in front of the kids and gross, you know, they still do that. My dad to the day still writes her love letters. And I'm like, God, that is awesome. You know, and he's the most intimidating man I've ever been around. Not gonna lie. Growing up, all they had to do was just like look, and you knew that was ice cold. You're done. You was gonna shut down before he knocked you in the next week. But at the same time, he's one of the softest people I've ever met. My dad, I give my dad a lot of influence in the world for just who I am as a person. Even me going into the wrestling world, I credit my dad a lot for him pushing like the boundaries. You know, he was always that go-to guy for the advice. Like, okay, Daddy, I can't get the crowd over. And my dad is the one that encouraged me basically just to be an asshole. He's like, okay, well, dude, be yourself. He says, if you're going to play the heel, and when I love it, I really do. For me, it's easier to be a face than it is a heel. And the reason I say that is because anybody can get out there and say what the crowd wants to hear and they're going to cheer for. Okay. And anybody can go out there, anybody can step out there and insult somebody and get booed. But there's a whole nother level to really bringing heat on yourself. And my dad told me to genuinely just be myself. He says, I raised you to be honest, to be like very blunt. And everybody in the FWWC knows, me especially House up there, I could be a straight asshole. A lot of my character is deprived off of just some of your natural feelings towards people. You know, sometimes you really want to snap at people. You really want to call them dumb. You know, and my dad said play into that. My dad said play into the whole character deal and just get into it. Like bring real heat. Don't just go out there and insult them. You know, just play into their emotions. You know, and if you go into a town, especially down here, come on, man, it's Georgia. There's thousands and thousands of redneck jokes, inbred jokes, backwoods trailer park jokes. I mean, come on now. So I credit my dad a lot for just inspiration to just be myself, whether it was in the ring, whether it was at work, whether it was even raising my daughter. And I was the dad, and still am. I was the dad that had to play both parts. And it was funny because I remember having to go to work so many times, and even to the wrestling ring. It was hilarious because I'd forgotten all about it. Now I'll tell you a story about something. My daughter, when she got into the makeup stage, now granted she was raised by me, and she's a little bit of a tomboy. She still gets some tomboy stuff, but she's very girly, very, very girly. I encourage that for her to be girly. So she did her makeup, she did the dress up, she did the tea parties. Well, guess who basically had to host all this? So I remember when I was her canvas when she wanted to do makeup. And I remember going to work looking like the Joker several times because I would wake up and I didn't know how to get that crap off my face. So I still had to go to work looking like the Joker. Painted nails all up my hands, you know, still had fingernail polish all over me. And I remember going to a match one time, and it was hilarious because I'd forgotten all about the night before. And I was late getting there. I rushed out the door, took her to the babysitter, rushed to the match. And these guys are looking at me like, oh, you got a new gimmick. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, okay, well, you got this all over your face and all over your hands. And I'm like, oh, crap. You know, so I was that dad. And then I remember eating so many mud pies with that kid because she loved to bake mud pies like all little girls, which I had no clue there was a right kind and a wrong kind of dirt to make that with. Never knew that. I brought a bucket to her one time, and she's like, Daddy, you brought me the wrong kind of dirt. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And she's like, well, this dirt's too dirty. Blew my mind. I never knew that existed. So to
Wait,
her, it was the wrong thing.
not to cut you off there. Let's just take a minute to unpack that. By the way, dirt is considered too dirty. Just like that.
But I'm very proud of my babies and how they turned out. All three of my kids, I got a daughter and two boys, and every one of them they have turned out straight A students, top of their class. They're like me, so obviously they're strange, but I mean they're good kids. They're really good kids, and I was blessed with a very good support system. When I'd lost my wife, I couldn't ask for any better friends and family. They were just there. And even to the day, I mean, and it still hits hard. There's times where, and of course it's coming up on birthdays, anniversaries, different stuff like that. And of course, those times will always affect you. I've been blessed to actually had moved on and was remarried, had a whole, a fresh start. And I love that. I love the fact that God has blessed me with so many different opportunities, even though there were so many times I didn't deserve it. Even with wrestling, when I thought I was done for, and I thought that, laying there, man, with my back messed up, my neck messed up, doubting everything, doubting just, existence itself at the time, my spirituality, and, just angry with everything. And for God to say, hey, look, I'm going to give you another chance over here, I couldn't ask for no better. And even with the FWWC, and I'll tell you, the FWWC come at a time where I was in a low point. I really was. I was at a low point, and it was. I had went through. Unfortunately, I as a guy, we got to admit, we got to be strong enough to admit when we make mistakes. I was not the husband I should have been in that marriage, and I took it for granted the opportunity that I had in front of me. God to give me another chance, and I was still hurt, still very selfish with that situation, expecting it to be what I wanted it to be instead of what He gave me. And I screwed that up royally. I really did. So obviously that ended up in divorce. And it was a nasty situation, but it caused me to go into a spiral of self-doubt. I was doubting myself. There was, of course, no divorces easy on kids. So there was that issue I was dealing with as a dad, because you feel like a failure. And when the FWWC come around, it was like, okay, man, hey, this is that bond, that gap that you're trying to fill, that brotherhood, and yes, sisterhood, because Susie Hoss and all. But it's that bond and that relationship that I was missing at the time. And I love it, and I think that's a lot of what encouraged me to continue to be in wrestling, because when I was on the road and man, even after my wreck, I couldn't tell you how many guys come up there and see me, how many guys come to my house. And it'd be wrestlers that I hadn't seen in years. There'd be guys that I hadn't worked with in a long time. And I didn't even think they remembered who I was. And they would come see me just to sit with me. So wrestling was there. It was always there, even my darkest time. Them guys would come, knock on the door. Hey, let's sit back and talk wrestling. I want to show you the match I just had. Or, they would come by and say, hey, I'm fixing to go to this show, man. Come and watch me. And so wrestling had always been a part of my life. It's always been something that has dragged me out of some very dark spots in my life. And I credit God first and foremost. But God giving me the opportunity to be involved with something that has been that much of an impact on me, just like has other people. And I couldn't ask for no better. And this guy, that I work with now, even with the belts and stuff like that, that was just completely random. And to explain Doomed Outfitters, a lot of people ask, hey, how did you come up with that? Seeing everything that's going on in the world, it started as a joke. It really did. Everybody gets on TikTok and they see some of the craziest videos. And I'm sitting there scratching my head like, oh my God, these people cannot be that stupid. We are completely doomed as a species. That sucks.
Yeah, Haas, I'm sorry to cut you off there, Ace. I don't know if you mess with TikTok, Haas, but yeah, people are that stupid. That is why I deleted that app, because I couldn't be bothered to keep scrolling on that shit every day.
It makes you question how quick God needs to come back, because you're like, hey man, are you really going to keep letting them do this? But anyway, I'm seeing some very strange stuff.
Real quick. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off.
You're good,
You
man.
post this all the time, and it's the single funniest thing every time I read it. What is the quote you always say anytime you see some dumb shit on the internet, Ace? If you could just put this in all caps.
We are doomed as a species.
Yes.
I feel we are doomed as a species. They honestly, this is something you can look up. I'm not exaggerating. You can look up stats on this one. They just had a worldwide IQ test where they have tested and compared IQs. The majority of people from a certain age down barely ranked a 75 on their IQ. I'm just scratching my head like, oh my God, and these are the people that we have to leave our future to. So it's all on his timing, but I really pray that man comes back before some of these people take over because we're done. We're doomed. We're dead. So it started as a joke. It started as something just to tease a little bit. And somebody had told me, hey, I want that on a t-shirt. And I put it on a t-shirt. I really did. And
so is
like, hey,
that where the term doomed outfitters came from? Is that because we're doomed as a species?
Exactly. Down here, I don't know how big of a brand Southern Outfitters is. I know down here, Southern Outfitters is a huge brand, and we was playing with it. Matter of fact, one of the people that bought my shirts was one of the people that worked over at the Southern Outfitters, and it was a play on words. I'm like, okay, well, Doomed Outfitters, and it stuck. And they're like, hey, that's what you got to name it. And I'm like, yes, that's awesome. So it stuck, and it was Doomed Outfitters, and I did have a trademark and stuff like that. As far as the phrase itself, I own that phrase. Which is hilarious because people's like, you really bought a phrase? Yes, it was hilarious. Why not? So with the belts, though, that's once again something that I have done since I was a kid. The very first wrestling belt I made was back in shop class in junior high, back when they still taught an actual trade in high school, which is something they don't do now, unfortunately. But when I was in shop class, we was in welding, we was in metal, fabrication and all this stuff during the time. And we'd come up with the idea. Me and all my buddies, of course, all of us wrestled in the backyard, and we had what we called fat farm wrestling is what we wanted to call it. We thought we was, little 12, 13-year-old kids out there, wrestling in a barn, tearing each other's up and, of course, getting spanked because we done busted the door again. But the very first belt we made was in shop class, and I drew out the design, cut it out. We had welded the design we wanted into it. And we attached it to two weightlifting belts. And that was our very first belt. And we kept it for years and years. And somebody was like, hey, that's actually pretty good just to be something you throw together. And of course, drawing and art, I've always been into art. When I graduated, I actually graduated with a scholarship to Savannah Art and College. I chose a different route at the time. I had took a different trade. And, I'm glad I did. But I took a different trade and got into law enforcement at the time, too. So I didn't really take advantage of the scholarship like I probably should have, but I'm glad I didn't. So art has always been a part of my family too. Art, construction. I mean, got to learn how to count and add and subtract on a tape measure. From the time I was old enough to walk, I was toting shingles up a freaking roof. So stuff like that has always been in my family. Any kind of construction, anything working with your hands. And so I started to designing different belts when I was younger. And of course, all of us, we would cut them out of cardboard, like all of us used to. We'd cut them out of cardboard, glue it together. And I still, to the day, I still done it for my kids. It was funny. And when they come up with yes.
Funnily enough, I got so good at making cardboard belts out of foam and plastic and shit. I was in a Tekken league in Texas, and you can actually find it online on Twitter and shit. I made a championship belt for Tekken. So I don't know if you guys have played the fighting game with Jin Kazama and shit. You can find it on my Instagram too, but I made belts for it, and we had a local tournament down in Fort Worth. And I made it, and and I would bring my regular belt, the blue strap belt, Attitude Eagle belt that I have. So anytime somebody would win, I would have them pose with it because I'm like, bro, come on. I'm like, fighting games are basically wrestling, right? So I made belts, and then the next thing I know, I'm getting tagged in it. Like about 2 weeks later, after we hold this tournament in Fort Worth, and they're having a tournament down here in Florida. This is back when I was living in Texas at the time, and it was CEO, and it's like one of the biggest fighting game tournaments in the country, mind you. And one of the guys that won the belt at the tourney that I made, He's there and he's posing with it. He's on stage. He made like top 48 out of like the 100 people in the state. And he's there holding the belt. And they're just like, bro, who made this belt? And they tag me and I'm like, yeah, Gabe made it. Like this dude right over here. So trust me when I say that shit goes a long way. And now I need to hit you up to make these belts for these guys out of metal instead of plastic this time.
Hey, oh yeah, anytime.
And you talk about the evolution of your belts and how they started and how they evolved. And you know, we can just imagine cardboard
Do you
belts.
still have the old one, Hans?
Everybody can think of a cardboard belt because everybody's had one at one time. And then I know at one point you evolved to something like this.
Yeah, there it is.
You know, this is something that he made that, you know, he evolved to. And
can we just say that the best thing to ever happen to the Hardcore Championship, aside from your longest reigning champ, Hardcore Haas, is the fact that this man right here won that belt and got that raggedy piece of tin that we had for the longest time running. Do you still have that belt, or did you send that into the board of directors?
So the belt that he just held up is the actual original plate. So what I've done with the original plate, and I'll tell you what I got. I have a whole shop, or at the time I still do, but at the time I had access to all my stuff. I had a plasma cutter, you know, a little plasma cutter and stuff, and you put it in, you put the dimensions or whatever. So I had it, and I had like this engraver to where I do whatever I want to. And that's how I actually done that. I took the actual original plate and I stuck it in there and thought of a design that would look a little different. And I actually drew on the plate itself after I smoothed it out. I had everything sanded down, took it back down to the bare metal, and I drew like everything on there. Just drew it out by hand, kind of figured out the design. And I took my little Dremel tool and did a lot of that just by hand, just to try to tinker and get the idea of what I wanted. And the original idea was to take that, steal that same belt, and put it in my actual real machine. And the way, if you don't know how the belts are made, I'll give you a little heads up on some of that. So the way the belts are made is, say, if I draw my belt or anybody gives me a design, I'll put it in the computer with this program. This program takes and fixes any errors whatsoever. It basically fixes all the flaws, all the dimensions. It makes it exactly perfect the way it needs to be. Now, there's two different ways we make it. We have what we call our pour, which is where once it makes the design, it makes a mold for us automatically. It'll make a mold, and then we melt the metal down and pour it in. A lot of people like that. Or we put it in an actual machine that has it cut and engraved in the actual machine. And it's almost, if you've ever watched the little 3D printers work, it's almost the same thing, except for this is working with metal. And that little thing will cut out every little design and every little deal that we want in that machine. So that was actually going to be one of the ones I'd done, but then we leaned towards, okay, let's just create a whole nother title itself. And that's where the new design come from, and that's where the new belt come from. And I'm like, if I'm going to design this and I'm going to make the new hardcore title, it needs to be something unique. It don't need to play on the old one. You know, we've already modified that one, so let's do a new one. And that's where that come from, and that's what we use now. That's the process I use now to make the belt. So for me, it's extremely fun, and it's an honor to actually do them. It really is, you know, to see something we created, you know, something I designed, I create, out there, people being using it. And we've had several promotions down here buy my belts. Several promotions wanted me to design their belts here. So if you come to Thomasville, Georgia, you come to Nashville, Georgia, you come even up there close to Macon, Georgia, a lot of their promotions are using belts that I created. And that, to me, is just amazing.
Well, and you go from something like this. Unfortunately, I can't show you the hardcore title, you know, for reasons. Yeah. But you know, you get to where they've evolved to something like what you see there now, which is titles that I believe you just finished or just about to finish up.
Just finished.
Of those two titles, you know, and they are a lot more sturdy and a lot more craftsmanship go into them than what this is. Not that this was bad. I mean, as a matter of fact, one of the reasons that I still have this, one of the reasons I still have this is because this was one of my favorite titles. I absolutely loved this belt. And, I asked the board of directors, could I hold on to it? And, so they appointed me as the caretaker for this title.
And rightfully
Which is the
so.
reason I still hold this one. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of show, you were talking about the cardboard title and everything, so I wanted to show the evolution of, how they kind of went and what you have now. And, it's absolutely miraculous to see the difference.
Oh yeah, and I take the more they're made, and the more I see people using them, the more pride. I'm very proud of them. I'm proud of my guys. I'm proud of my team, and I'm even if we never take off and we're some big multi-million-dollar company, I'm still proud of just the business we got, and I'm proud of the exposure we have because of just how far we've come. Like you said, to engraving them like this right here, like you showed, to what you've showed with the new international title, which by the way is way heavier than I expected that to be. So that's a pretty heavy title. So to see the difference and be able to, use what I've done before to actually advance and keep making them better and better and better, that's the goal. And that's kind of, the more I put out, the better they're going to get. And I'm looking forward to it. And, with me, I just, like I said, it's like I do the same thing. I work maintenance now, and if people didn't know that because I complain a lot about it. Part of how I was raised is if your name goes on something, you take pride in it because that represents your name, that represents your brand, and ultimately that's how people view you. So I take the same outlook with my job too. When I come and turn these apartments, and I don't know if people are familiar with the more term turn. That means when somebody moves out, I got to remodel the dang thing. When I do something like that, and I do woodworking, see I'm just, you can almost say I'm a jack of all trades, man. I was born and raised doing all sorts of crap. I do woodworking. I actually make furniture. I do all sorts of stuff. But when I craft something, my name and my brand goes into it, and I want it to represent the best of what I have to offer. And I do that with the belts. I do it whether and it don't matter if these tenants out here get on my nerves, and they do. If I go to fix something for them, I want to make sure it's done right. I want to make sure it's, fixed to the point where it's going to last. It's not just slapping a Band-Aid on it, and I've looked at that, whether it was my marriage, whether it was raising my babies. I try to be everything I can. And even with the wrestling, there's times I was very self-destructive with it. But at the same time, if I was going to get into it, I wanted to go all out. And unfortunately, hey, God had different plans with that. I was not able to take it as far as I wanted, as far as an in-ring career. But I was still able to get into it and expand it further than what I thought I was going to get. So I'm very, very blessed to have that. So right off, though, because I'm steady rambling. Is there any questions y'all have? Something y'all want to know first?
Well, I know most of the questions I've had, you've already hit yourself. So,
there you go.
You just kind of answered them before we asked them. But now, you've talked about your wrestling background. You've talked about your personal background, and so people have come to know a little bit about you. And, as we mentioned, Renee talked with you. Renee has asked you about coming aboard with us, which, Haas and Ace, yeah, we don't get along. We don't like each other. But in all honesty, I'm happy to have you here, because
I'm glad to be here.
You're really going to add to the show. So what can people expect moving forwards as far as you in connection with the show? I know you and Susie have a show coming up in 2 weeks, as we've already mentioned. So, what else can we expect with you moving forwards?
You can expect a lot more red skin because this man's going to pop off about everything every 2 seconds, like he did about Dominic Mysterio in hour 1.
Oh yeah. I'm very passionate about the answers too, and that's something that I really want to put into even the show. Just passion. If you're passionate about something, why not express it? And we don't, like any debate or any topic, people don't have to necessarily agree. But this is a blessing. It gives you the chance to come on here and talk about the stuff you want. And it gives you a chance to not only express your opinions, but also hear other people's opinions about it and just enjoy talking about what we love. And that's wrestling. That's what we're here for. It's the Wrestle Talk podcast. So it's Wrestle Talk. So obviously, I'm very honored to be here. I'm very honored to be able to extend my career as far as dealing with wrestling into just this right here. And I want people to just feel more, I don't know how to, just more unique about it, I guess. If that's one thing I want to bring to it, it's just a different type of uniqueness. You know, I don't want to be one of those guests that comes on and just follows in everybody else's footsteps. If there's ideas that I can come up with and they approve of it, it's not going to get us kicked off the air. By all means, I want to be able to just throw it out there, possibly bring something fresh to the show. Because, you know, God forbid, sometimes we're getting tired of Hoss. I'm just playing. But, you know, something different, something unique that, you know, and an opportunity to bond even more, you know, over something that we love. And, you know, me being on here, of course, you know, down south here in Georgia, you know, I know, God knows, I know way too many people. I'm hoping, you know, they start tuning in too, and that expands the audience down here in South Georgia, North Georgia. You know, I know a ton of people there too. So just to bring in a different kind of audience, and, you know, just bring a passion to it that some people may not have seen before. You know, so that's what I'm hoping to get out of it.
So
Now, are you planning on bringing your sling blade, or I just wanted to make sure on that? Some French fried potatoes? No. Sorry. I gotta take some shots. When Night Owl's not here, I have to fill in the quota of being an asshole. Okay.
Oh yeah, we can't really top him though. I mean, God, he takes the mantle on that.
But I know
you can't see this, right?
I know that, like I say, you and Susie will be on in 2 weeks. I believe it's the 30th. You know, you guys will be doing a show. And I know also that you have been working to try to bring the FWWC the FWWC Tonight back, and kind of with a new format. So just real quick, if you can touch on it real quick. You know, where does FWWC Tonight stand, and when can we look forwards to seeing the first episode of that possibly?
Oh yeah, so I had 2 dates in mind, and I did, and I was pushing for those goals. Unfortunately, we failed to meet. I failed. I failed to meet those dates mainly for creative differences. I had this idea that we was going to make it, and we still will. We're going to make it instead of a podcast. This is going to be an actual show. And I know you've watched Tonight Show. I know you've watched Tosh Point oh. I want you to think Tosh Point oh for the most part with a mixture of like Tonight Show. And it's going to have the comedy, but it's going to have the professionalism to where it's not just dogging people all the time. You know, we're not here to dog people. We're going to talk FWWC. We're going to talk wrestling, but we're going to add, I mean, nobody's safe. There's nothing off limits, but, you know, obviously we're going to keep boundaries. But I'm going to use my sense of humor and my sarcasm to basically just add something different. But it's going to be like an actual show. We have a real set. We have a real crew that is actually filming this. And I jumped the gun. That was kind of my fault. There is a lot of process behind the scenes that is very time consuming when it comes to putting those things together. Putting the film together and doing a lot of stuff on the set that I underestimated. That was completely on me. And so as far as the time frame, I'm definitely hoping to get there by at least mid-October, because we have a lot of content already made. We have a lot of stuff already put together, a lot of stuff that has already been, you know, filmed. But at the same time, wrestling changes every week. So now we're trying to play catch up. And
nowadays, like, things happen like that.
Yeah, so I mean, and it's hard to keep up with some of that. So a lot of the stuff, I was like, oh my God, if we air this now, it's going to be completely irrelevant by the time we show it. So a lot of editing out. But I want it to stay relevant. That's what I'm trying to stay up with the topics. And I'm hoping to push for mid-October on this right here, because the guy I'm working with, he's a great guy. It's just, we had a little setback. He had some issues with his studio license and stuff like that. That's all on him. That had nothing to do with me. And I do have a fallback. So thank God I have a fallback on that situation. So if it does not work out with him, hey, I already got a whole nother set set up, a whole nother crew, a whole nother film, director and everything. So we're going to get this thing rolling. That's a guarantee. But I want it to be I want it to have that talk show feel. I don't want it to have a podcast feel. There's so many people with a podcast, and I don't. I'm not knocking podcasts. I love it. I love the setup. But
it's definitely a very oversaturated market, and you're trying to throw your hand into the ring of something different, especially when it comes to not just podcasts, just to kind of narrow the scope a bit. Wrestling podcast, and it's like, let's be real here: Stone Cold, Jim Cornette, right? David Zahadi, right? It just everybody's got a wrestling podcast nowadays. I mean, we have one. Like, we know this.
This is actually going to be a show. This is going to be like a night show, like a talk show. And that's the kind of feel I want it to have, like that talk show feel. And some of the stuff that we have put together it still comes off as a podcast. So it's a work in progress. And it's something that, like I said, it was a project that I'm still very honored to do. It had some setbacks, but it's still going to happen. So guys, don't give up hope on that. I know we've threw out a couple of dates that we was aiming for, and we didn't quite meet that. So that falls on me. That was me. But it will happen. And like I said, we're aiming for October. So in October, y'all look forward to it. FWWC Tonight is coming back, but it's going to be a whole different platform. Y'all actually get to see me more in a suit and tie setting. That's going to be a huge difference compared to a podcast. I may actually shave and clean up a little for that one. But yeah,
Are cats and dogs living together?
So, you talk about FWWC and everything, but when Gabe and myself, when we were talking pre-production and everything, Gabe told me that not only does he think he's better than you in FWWC, not only does he think he can whip your butt in the FWWC, but he thinks he knows more than you about wrestling and that he can beat you in the world famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge.
Oh man. Well, there's only one way to find out, so I'm pretty sure I'm see where this is going.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and cue up the music real quick for this game show challenge, and we'll see if Gabe can live up to what he's been spewing. He hasn't done too bad.
Yeah, but too bad. I want to say this is off the back of like 4 losses in a row, by the way, on my end. So I think I need to be the one who delivers here tonight.
The only thing I ask for anybody watching is keep in mind I'm getting old, so my head is not exactly where it used to be at his age. So think about that.
So let's go ahead and hit that game show music. Welcome to this. What's that?
I was going to say, I think it was Luke Justice who coined the phrase that it sounded like Mario Brothers, and every time I hear it, I just picture it. I just see Mario and Luigi jumping on Goombas. I'm sorry, Haas.
Okay, now I hear it. I can't get it out of my head. Thanks.
So, welcome to this week's installment of the world-famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Tonight's contest is scheduled for the best 2 out of 3 falls and features Gabriel Arsene taking on the newest member of the Wrestle Talk Podcast team, Will Bromlow, a.k.a. Ace. Tonight's Game Show Challenge category is Associates of the Four Horsemen. I will give you information on 3 famous professional wrestlers who were associates of the Four Horsemen. When you think you know the answer, shout it out. The first person to win 2 out of 3 falls will win tonight's game show challenge. Are we good on the rules? So just shout it out, and if you're wrong, feel free to keep shouting out.
I just need to ask real quick the first question here. Haas, how much was the check that Ace signed you before we started this game show challenge here tonight? Are you kidding? He just got through explaining he was watching the NWA and AWA, and it's like anybody who's more qualified knows about the four horsemen. When it okay, look, I'm the young one with the old soul. Come on, like what do we do?
You also got to think of how many people were involved with them, though. Whew. All right,
that's true.
But I can't reveal how much the check is for. And Ace, if you cancel that check before I get to cash it, then there's going to be hell to pay. That's all I'm going to say. But, so question number 1. This professional wrestling personality was associated with Steve McMichael and Jeff Jarrett in the Four Horsemen before moving to WWF. Name her.
Her. Oh, shit.
Hey, this is on you.
I know her name. Sherry. Miss Sherry.
Nope, not Sherry.
That's the same.
No.
Deborah McMichaels? I don't know.
Deborah McMichaels is correct.
That's who I had in mind. You got it. So that's who I had in mind. I was trying to think of her freaking name.
How the fuck did I know that? I had a Fall Brawl VHS tape from 1985. That's it. Like, how the fuck did I know that? Young Lion with the old soul, but doesn't even know it.
I knew it was his wife, but I could not remember because I was trying to think back. I'm like, wait, yeah, she did jump over too. So I was like, oh, wait a minute now. So yeah, you had that one. You got there quicker than I did. That was good.
All right. Question number 2. This professional wrestling personality was associated with Steve McMichael. This professional wrestling personality was associated with the Four Horsemen as a coach at the Great American Bash. Prior to this appearance, he was known as one of the greatest managers and broadcasters in history. Bobby Heenan is correct.
Let's fucking go! Okay.
So Gabriel Arsene has technically won the game show challenge.
So real quick, just because I want to take this opportunity, do you guys remember the clip of Brian Pillman when he's fucking with Bobby Heenan on the microphone because Bobby's neck was all messed up and he's grabbing him and you can hear him on the mic going, "The fuck are you doing?" It's that one. In 1985, he's losing his shit. So
I tell you what,
here's the challenge for you. From the beginning, Dave. From the beginning, name every member that has ever been in the Four Horsemen.
Can this be question 3? And if I get it, I win. No. Okay, so we'll do that towards the end.
I have a couple more questions here. So let's go to question number 3 because we cannot let Gabe sweep the newest member of the team here. That just can't happen. And we're going to put all the marbles on the line with this one. If you get this right, we're going to give you the win and 2 points away from Gabe. How's that?
All or nothing. Yeah, because you got nothing to lose. That's why I put on all the work.
Right.
All right. This professional wrestling personality was associated with the Four Horsemen after spending years with the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Sensational Sherry. No, I'm just kidding.
Name her.
Miss Elizabeth.
Oh, damn. Gabriel done swept you.
Yeah.
Play my victory music.
It's tight. See, man, I guess that's what you get for being so old. You got to go further back in your memory. You're like, wait a minute. Now, I literally watched this live.
Just take this opportunity. Gabriel Arsene is the winner of the game show challenge after the driest rut of like 4 weeks in a row.
You got it,
Oh God.
I do give you credit though. For somebody younger though, I give you all the credit. For somebody younger, you definitely know a lot of the stuff that we witnessed growing up that we know. And it's like, okay, these are answers that I have to stop and think about. Like, wait a minute. Like I knew the answers, but it was just like it was right off the top of your head. That's awesome.
Sir, they do not call me the young lion with the old soul for nothing, all right? I have studied this shit more than most people do. I know people say that they are fans of wrestling. I love wrestling. I fucking adore wrestling. And now that I'm about to finish paying off my car, you guys better keep an eye out on my posts going forward because you are looking at the next generational talent to come here in pro wrestling history, all right? But also, it has been a pleasure to have you on the show, man. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Ross. Will, I've known you for the longest time, but I haven't known you in the sense, and having this opportunity to interview you in person, man, I can tell you are a very outstanding individual. You're a man who's been through a lot. You've been put through the ringer, and you still keep on kicking. And you're the kind of man who, understands what he's worth, and he wants to get exactly what he gets out of his worth, and the people that he associates with, and the people that he works with. So, on behalf of the Wrestle Talk podcast family and team, it is a pleasure to have you on the show, man, and it's a pleasure to have you going forward. And I just got to say, make sure you give Sis a lot of hell the next time you work with her on the next show, especially when it comes to that bus driving license. All right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
it's been great, man. Thank y'all for having me on, man.
Well, and thank you for coming in with us. And it's been a pleasure to have you. And I just, I really look forward to seeing, what comes with the new FWWC tonight, and look forward to seeing you on future Wrestle Talk podcasts because I know that you're always willing to jump on and help out. So we thank you for that. And, as I said earlier, thank you for all your work with the FWWC, as an admin there with them. I really appreciate seeing all the work that you put in, and, thank you for all your help there. So it's been a pleasure. Gabe and I, we actually have the very bad habit well, I don't know if I wouldn't say it's a very bad habit, but we have the habit of going overtime every time we get together, and this one's gone 2 hours and 41 minutes so far. So
this is the newest edition of the FWWC and the Wrestle Talk podcast. All right, this man is the reason we're not fucking fighting over plastic belts, Hardcore Hoss. If that doesn't deserve 2 hours and 41 minutes, you can go fuck yourself. I don't care. I'm sorry. This is legit. All right, you know this.
But before we get out of here, real quick, we have got to hit those sponsors one more time because, those sponsors are the reason that we're able to do what we do. So we want to thank our great sponsors. We got Retro Zone at the Oak Park Mall, Painter's Dream Productions. That's the one and only Perry. Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Luke Skywalker Roberts is on the board. He just went in. We got Doomed Outfitters, that man right down there. He heads up Doomed Outfitters. Anything you need, cups, title belts, shirts, hats, stickers, whatever, he can hook you up. Be sure to hit him up. He'll work with you. We got the World Domination Wrestling Alliance. I've seen some people from WDWA in the comments. Be sure to tune in next week. You'll see myself and Gavin Jackson with another great evolution. And then we have the FWWC, the world's premier fantasy wrestling group. And, be sure to check us out on Facebook. Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter. Hit us up if you want to join. We'd love to have you. Once you hit us up, myself, the Night Owl CEO, one of us will hit you up and we'll talk with you. We'll get you going. Even if you just want to be a fan and see what we're doing, see what we're all about, hit us up and let us know that you just want to be a fan, and we'll get you in on the page there, and you can watch us and see what we're all about there. So.
We got to cue you up for this, Hoss. We can't end on that. That's the FWWC, the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter.
That's right.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
So we want to thank each and every one of you that's hung in there with us tonight. And we just look forward to seeing you next show. Like I say, the next Wrestle Talk podcast will be in 2 weeks. I believe it's the 30th. And that one's going to be hosted by the one and only Ace and Susie Haas. So be sure to tune in for that one.
First ever.
Until
I'm
then,
debating on a tighter shirt so you can see the nipples a little better next time. You know, just saying.
Dude, we're advertising on X and YouTube, not OnlyFans, Ace. All right, come on.
PG-13. PG-13. Keep it PG-13. Remember that.
Oh,
but all right, you know it's been great. Any last words, guys? Gabe, any last words?
You know, I try to keep this brief as much as I can, just because I enjoy doing this every opportunity I can. Haas will tell you, we came into the show here today, and it was a lot. It was a flustercluck, to say the least. But what's nice about working with these individuals that are beside me right now is that we can turn chicken shit into chicken salad. And I gotta say, that to me is the appeal of the Wrestle Talk podcast, to be able to stand with these two individuals, to stand with, the Night Owl, to stand with Jeremy Karp, to stand with Skywalker, Luke Roberts, to be able to sit here and sit for 2 hours plus talking about something that I am so passionate about every single day is an honor and a privilege. So, gentlemen, thank you very much, and I can't wait to see you on the next show.
Ace, any last words before we let you go?
Yeah, anybody that follows me in the FWWC, they know one of my slogans here recently is to make the FWWC great again. Well, the Wrestle Talk podcast is already great as it is, and my goal is to make it greater. So thank y'all for having me on, and I'm looking forward to all this.
All right. Well, we look forward to working with you in the future, and just thank you to each and every one of you, and be sure to share our podcast so that others can find this great content. And for Ace, for Gabriel Arsene, Luke Skywalker Roberts, Jeremy Karp, for Nightmare Jones, Joe Lance, for the Night Owl, Big Daddy P, CEO Dewan Mills, and I'm John Haas. For each and every one of them, thank you, and be sure to join us next show. And until then, we'll be seeing you. Have a great night, everybody.
Hey!